Hello and welcome to the international launch of Mind Motion Academy. It's an honor and a pleasure to have you join us. My name is Jim Lutz. I'm the CEO and one of the founders of this platform. And you are in store for a couple amazing evenings here because we've assembled instructors with knowledge that are just incredible in a variety of areas, from relationships to money to health to transformation in other areas, to emotions, and all of those cylinders need to operate congruently, in harmony, for you to blossom into the potential that you have inside. And I've been in this industry for a long time, and I'm always enamored by the latent potential that lies inside people. And sometimes you can see it, and you've done this, you can see it before they see it. And you just want it to come out. You want it to blossom, whether it's a child or whether it's a spouse or a friend or a colleague. You just want it to blossom forward because you know they're not the best version of themselves that they could be. And when you become the best version of yourself, you bring that best version of yourself to all your interactions with everybody. The interactions even with yourself, your self-talk. What do you think about yourself? Your confidence goes up, your self-esteem goes up, your self-image goes up. And you'll find with Mind Motion Academy, the platform will strengthen the areas of weakness, for lack of a better term, and it will also strengthen the areas of strength. So you're going to be moving progressively forward, and as that occurs, you're going to become the best version of yourself. And we're excited to participate in that. All of you come to the platform with a variety of life experiences. We've all had them. The longer you're on this planet, the more of those experiences you have. And so we want you to experience a 2-night event that will really, really level you up in all areas. And we called this event Empowerment and Purpose. And we did that for a reason. Because empowerment and purpose, let's break down those two words for a moment. You know, I've been in this industry for a long time, and self-empowerment, empowerment is an interesting term, and I like to use it synonymously with inertia. And inertia means that an object in motion, right, tends to stay in motion. So if you have that catalyst, that nucleus inside of you that gets you up off the couch, that gets you to move forward, to get you to interact with that person you may be hesitant to interact with, or that business associate, or whatever it may be for you, when you're empowered, it comes from the inside. And the outside is what the end result is from that empowerment. So oftentimes you'll come to a seminar, you'll go to a seminar. What happens in a lot of events, it's like marbles. They go click, 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 right? And you drop them on a table and they all start to roll. Some roll farther than others, but they all stop. They all stop. And the reason they stop is they don't have that inertia that comes from empowerment. Inside, that ability to get up and know, I know where I'm going. I know I need to improve my emotions. I know I need to improve my relationships. I know I need to improve my health and my finances. I know I need to move forward. So empowerment is a fascinating thing because once you experience it, regardless of the catalyst or regardless of the means or the methodology, once you experience it, you wake up in the morning kind of a different version of you. And I know it's happened to me when I first began my journey into personal empowerment. I know it's happened to a lot of the instructors on here, and I know it's happened to a lot of the guests that are watching us right now. So empowerment is the flagship name for this event. And then we decided, the team at Mind Motion Academy, to couple that word with a word called purpose. And when you ask somebody what their purpose is in life, many people, they don't know. A purpose is what takes that empowerment and drives it to the destination. So you're empowered when you couple that, and we hope that over these next 2 evenings, you're going to get more clarity of that purpose. You'll have those aha moments, I know we all have. You'll get that clarity of purpose of where you're going in your life. And for me, it happened to be a man that I sat down. I grew up in San Diego. I was on the beach on a wall, and this gentleman sat down. We started talking for a few minutes. And he was sharing with me that he was an entrepreneur. And I really didn't know what that meant, to be honest with you. And he started to share his freedom that he had, and his decision-making abilities relied on him. And he could take lunch as long as he wanted. And so for me, that was an aha moment that empowered me to take a different path in life. Now, I didn't know at that time what that path would be, but I was empowered by one simple meeting with this gentleman that was an entrepreneur many years ago to explore the options in life, to explore how little old me could perhaps have all of that. How could I have those loving relationships, the money, the health? How could I do that? So he was that catalyst, that nucleus that set me on an entrepreneurial journey. So what's that for you? Many of you out there have had that up to this point. We hope over the next 2 evenings that if you don't, that this will give you that clarity and become one of those aha moments. So what's your story? What's your story? You know, everybody has a story, and your story is very important because it's you. It is intimately you. And we want to contribute to making that future story. Your biography up to this point is written. We want to write the next chapters of your biography to where they are just off the charts exactly how you want them. So Mind Motion Academy was created for that. This event, we want it to empower you. We want it to have assist you in having possibility thinking. We want you to think of that unstoppability that lies within you, the dormant possibilities. We want you to find that purpose, or at least let us contribute 1 or 2 steps toward that purpose for you. You're going to be hearing from instructors from around the world in many areas. Now, these are hand-selected instructors for a reason, because they bring a diverse background to the table. They bring years of experience, high-level experience, that you are going to have access to this evening and tomorrow evening. So make sure that you set some time aside, invest in your time, invest in yourself, don't spend time, make sure you invest it. We want you to stay with us for the duration of tonight. And then we want you to put on your calendar to meet us back here tomorrow night. We want you to experience the entire lineup of instructors. And I would venture to say that you will come away with some aha moments, with some ideas, with some empowerment, and perhaps just maybe a sense of purpose that you didn't have before, or at least clarity of the purpose you have now. So it's with great honor and pleasure that we kick off the first night of the launch of Mind Motion Academy, and we can't wait to get started. So let's get it rolling, pull the curtain back, and here we go. It's with great pleasure I bring to you our first speaker at the launch of Mind Motion Academy, Cheri. You know, Cheri started her first business as a financial advisor. She decided to learn everything she could about closing sales. She went through the normal struggles of an entrepreneur, and she discovered that, in fact, sales was not a numbers game. It was a people game. And with great pleasure and honor again, I want to introduce to you our first speaker at the launch of Mind Motion Academy, Miss Cheri.
Thank you, Jim, for that amazing and kind introduction. And just like you said, I'm Cheri. I'm so honored and excited to be here with you today at a very special moment in time to talk about empowerment and purpose at this worldwide conference. And I'm broadcasting here from Laguna Beach, California. So wherever you are in the world, I want to congratulate you for being registered and attending this very, very special conference. Now, I want to talk about empowerment. That's actually one of my favorite words, because the company that I'm running, our vision is to connect and empower humanity. To connect and empower humanity. And now could not be a better time for entrepreneurs and business owners and like-minded people just like you, just like me, to step up and to rise up, to get into our power and to go out there and create an impact for all of humanity. And so I want to just jump in and share with you, you know, there's kind of a lot of things that are happening in the world. You may have noticed that life will never be the same. There's no going back to normal, if you've ever heard that before, especially in today's world. There's significant disruption that's happening. There's a lot of people that are outside their comfort zones. You might be one of them. You might be starting a brand new business and considering becoming an entrepreneur. You might be a seasoned veteran and very successful entrepreneur. Whoever you are, I want to help you become absolutely, totally empowered. And I want to help you unlock access to your purpose, the one that's driving you to go out there and make a difference for mankind. And when you look at the world today, I'm going to introduce you to a trifecta of the 3 T's and kind of a perfect storm that's brewing out there. And quite frankly, is going to create unprecedented opportunity for some of you that have the ability to recognize opportunity, to take action, and to get out there and go make a difference for people. And so I'm going to introduce you to that trifecta. And then I'm going to introduce you to 5 pillars. 5 pillars that are going to put you on the path for total optimization, to put you into empowerment. And these pillars can help you increase your income, your influence, and your impact. So let's start with the trifecta concept. You know, we look at the world that's changing. We look at the amount of disruption that's happening. We look at humanity. Let's take a look at humanity. Humanity has never been more connected because of technology, and yet has never been more disconnected because of some of the things that have been happening in our world over the last several years. And so the first T in the trifecta, the 3 T's that I want to introduce you to, is number 1, technology. Let's take a look at technology. There's a really amazing book out there that's called The Future is Faster Than You Think. And it talks about technology as we are in a world going forward, right? Technology, some of the technologies that are out there that are creating significant disruption: 5G, AI, VR, AR. And these are some of the things that are happening. And as they're coming together and converging, it's created kind of like this cosmos effect of incredible futuristic things. Like they're predicting by the year 2030 that we're going to have flying cars and skyports where we can literally beam ourselves up and commute in a flying Uber, as an example. You won't even need an automobile. I mean, what? Right? And that's only like just this far into the future. And so there's significant disruption that's happening in the space of technology. And you as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, might feel like you're having a frustrating time even keeping up with what's happening. Time is going by like that. I mean, it's crazy, right? And yet, as I've mentioned, technology has connected humanity. Think of what the iPhone or the cell phones, the smartphone devices have done, what the internet, Wi-Fi, 5G, all of those types of things. Like we're able to have video conference calls. My in-laws live over in Europe and we can talk to them on video every single day. Fascinating, right? And yet there's an underground impact of technology that's having humankind feel disconnected, as more and more people are spending hours and hours every single day on their digital devices and creating something called digital dementia. There's a side impact of relationships that are disconnecting and people feeling like they actually are face to face with their own spouse or their own children at dinner, and yet everyone's glued to their phones. Well, it gets even a little bit worse because what they're predicting in the future, if you remember Mark Zuckerberg's speech when he changed the name of Facebook to Meta, and they're predicting and building basically the metaverse, and they're pumping billions of dollars into this platform called the metaverse. Well, what they're predicting in the future, and I have a little baby 2-year-old named Kai, and they're predicting the children in the future are going to spend 50% of their time in the metaverse. 50% of their time in virtual reality and augmented reality, to the point that they're not even sure and be able to distinguish whether or not their life is real or virtual. And this is what's coming. So if you've been feeling any of these anxieties from some of the things that are happening out there, it's possible that the advancement of technology can either put you in your power or it can potentially take away your power. And don't worry, we're going to help you be able to find that solution. That's why I love that you're part of Mind Motion Academy right now in this very spectacular empowerment event. Number 2, the second T that I want to mention to you is turmoil. You've probably felt a lot of turmoil, especially over the last few years, right? With some of the health challenges that have gone global, and the masking and all of those things that happened with it. The world basically came to a screeching halt. the world essentially went into lockdown. And unfortunately, that's created a significant acceleration of disconnection with humanity. You could no longer see your friends and family. You could no longer stop by your parents or your grandparents' home. You could no longer live the life that you used to live or travel to the places that you wanted to go. And I'm someone who also felt a lot of that impact. 2 years ago, I was on bed rest, pregnant, getting ready to give birth to our little baby son. And he came 10 weeks early. And it was so crazy what was happening in the world that my own wife couldn't be at the hospital. Our son was in the NICU for 6 weeks, and we could not go see him together. We had to be completely separated. And I remember we were like two ships passing in the night, because I'd go to the hospital and have a 4 or 5 hour shift with our son. And then I'd come home and she'd go to the hospital to have 4 or 5 hours with our son, so that we could really spend that bonding time with our brand new, very, very small baby. He was just like 3 pounds, 11 ounces when he was born, 30 weeks, came 10 weeks early. It was a surprise to all of us. But look, I'm turning 50. And so, you know, to have a baby this late in life was like a miracle in and of itself. And he's a miracle. But not being able to be together, that turmoil was creating a lot of friction. And not just for our family and some of the stresses that we had to deal with, and we couldn't have anyone come and help us care for our brand new little baby that we got to take home. We couldn't have a nanny that could come and help us in those early days. No parents, no in-laws, no aunts and uncles, no brothers and sisters, no neighbors, no friends, no one. It was hard. And I'm sure that you went through a really tough time too. And then when you add on the other turmoil that's happening in the world, and the people that were rising up and rioting and fighting back and pushing up against governments and crazy rules and laws and disruption and quarantine camps and all kinds of things, there's a considerable amount of stress that took people out of their power. It was disempowering for a lot of people. And that's what created anxiety and depression and all kinds of things. And so, again, being plugged into a moment in time right now, it's all about empowerment. How do you get into your power? Well, that was the second T in this trifecta of what's been happening out there in the world. Technology is disrupting. Turmoil was disrupting. And then we look at the third T of the trifecta, which is transition. There's been a lot of transition that's been happening. Matter of fact, there's been something here just in the United States alone over the last year that 47 million people left their jobs, just walked out and said, see ya, don't want to be ya, after being home and reconnecting to their family and their spouse. Maybe they were just used to the hustle and grind of going off to work, and after staying home and spending time with their baby, spending time with their children, and spending time with their home environment and in their community, they realized, like, look, I don't want to go back to that environment. I don't want to be in a toxic environment. I don't want to be with these people, or this company no longer fulfills my heart and my life purpose. And so they walked away. 47 million of them. You might be one of them. And this might have been a tipping point that kind of moved you to lean forward into what is your true purpose. Why are you here? Are you here to live a life that literally just works and works and works and brings home the bacon so that you can fry it up in a pan? Remember that, right? So that you can earn money and make a living, but at the expense of having a life. And no. So this past couple years has made people wake up. And if you're one of those people that's had a great awakening and you're like, no, I'm ready to step into my power, or perhaps you've already been empowered and you want to do more, you want to give more, you want to contribute more, you want to create more of an impact, then now is your time. And again, this is why I said I want to be a part of this conference. I want to contribute towards your empowerment. I want to contribute towards the impact that you can go out there and make in humanity, because transition is uncomfortable. If you're starting and building a business, if you're trying to scale and grow your business and take it to the next level, in the midst of all of the turmoil and the transition and the technology and the change that's happening, it's significant disruption. It's time to take a big deep breath, right? If you're feeling any of that anxiety or heart beating out of your chest from everything that's happening, just take a big deep breath. Just stop for a moment. One more. This is where I want to introduce you to the fourth T. I'm going to give you a bonus T right now. And that bonus T is a word called transformation. This is a very special moment in time, and why you're a part of this. And I hope you become a part of the community here at Mind Motion Academy, because transformation is absolutely critical in order for you to live a life that you absolutely love, in order for you to be empowered to go out there and make a difference for other human beings. Transformation is about taking a piece of coal when under so much intense, incredible pressure creates a diamond. And friend, you are that diamond. You are that diamond. You're here to get empowered. You are here to connect to your purpose, and you are here to live a much bigger life. Tony Robbins says that there's only two master skills in life. Two master skills in life. The science of achievement, which is to get out there and hustle and grind and make things happen, put dollars in your pocket, put money in the bank, right? And the art of fulfillment. And the art of fulfillment, think of this as the yin and the yang, because sometimes people get stuck just in the science of achievement, and they're going after money, and they're pursuing all kinds of success and accolades and titles and awards and credentials and likes and followers and amassing, to become an influencer. But if that's all you ever do, you're going to wake up really unhappy one day. You're going to wake up possibly divorced one day. You're going to wake up and your kids won't talk to you one day. That's not the life that you want to live. The other part of it, like the yin and the yang, is to bring in the art of fulfillment and to make sure that your heart, your mind, your soul, your body are all connected with your total divine purpose. So again, why you're here is to experience transformation. Why I chose to become an instructor and an expert contributor here at Mind Motion Academy is to be able to help take your mindset, your skill set, and your tool sets so that you can live that jet set life, so that you can live that life that goes out there to create impact, that creates fulfillment, to know that you live the very best life possible and you made a difference. So I want to introduce you to the 5 pillars of personal optimization. These 5 pillars are going to put you into your power. These 5 pillars are going to help you to feel like, man, I'm living my best life. I'm in control of life on my terms. I'm making a difference. I'm helping other people. I'm helping people accelerate and live their best life because I chose to step into mine. So I want to introduce you to the very first pillar. Okay, if you're someone who says, I want to increase my income, I want to increase my influence, and I want to increase my impact, then I'm going to give you these 5 pillars. And I want you to take these 5 pillars, and I want you to take some notes. I want you to write these down. And these are the ones that you absolutely want to start working towards mastering, getting better and better at. Number 1 is communication. We're living in a world where communication can be misinterpreted at a massive scale. We're no longer talking just face to face with human beings, but we're texting and we're messaging and we're Skyping or Zooming or doing all types of virtual interaction, and communication can get distorted. You've probably heard of the different types of communications that are out there, and there's verbal and nonverbal and your tone and all those types of things. There's neuro-linguistic programming and NLP and everything else. And so communication skills and developing your communication skills, becoming more robust in your ability to communicate, is something that I want you to work on. Personally, I've made it part of my life path of working towards mastery of becoming an impeccable and excellent communicator over the last 5 years. And it led me to actually writing a book. And I'll just show you this right now. This is the book I wrote called Why They Buy. And what I discovered was the bank methodology. And this was based on personality types. And I found that people were different and that I had to communicate to them differently in a way that unlocked an incredible conversation, unlocked the possibility of optimizing their engagement, unlocked their ability to do business with me. So communication is something that you want to get very, very good at. And based on the 4 personality styles that I talk about in my course around bank, is to realize that there's different ways to communicate with different people. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach. Matter of fact, Tony Robbins said, let your prospect determine your presentation or determine your messaging, determine your communication. And that helped me to really be on a life path of chasing mastery of communication across the 4 personality styles. And if you want to learn more, then you can certainly get access to that here. The second pillar that I want to introduce you to is business. Now, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a sole proprietor, if you're a sales professional, if you're a network marketer, if you're running a home-based business, if you bought a franchise, if you're building a new business, whatever, okay, there's 3 aspects of business that we want you to help master to really put you in your power to go out there and create impact for people. And that is, number 1, your reach. How do you really dial in your marketing? These are going to be things that you want to do so that you can go and attract the right type of people to come do business with you. You may have heard that your vibe attracts your tribe, right? Well, what vibe are you putting out there? And what type of tribe are you going after? And this is one of those things that you want to get clarity on, because you don't want to do a whole bunch of spaghetti noodle marketing approaches. You don't want to have to spend enormous amounts of money buying advertising, Facebook ads and Instagram and all kinds of stuff. There's great strategies, but you want to definitely know who your avatar is. For me, what's been very helpful is through the lens of the bank system was knowing what personality type is my avatar and what has them want to say yes. The second part of business is revenue. You may hear a lot about sales and closing sales and getting the yes instead of a no. You know, it's kind of one of the funny cliches that I've talked about as one of my keynote speeches all over the world is, you know, when they say that sales is a numbers game, when they say that in order to get more yeses, you have to get more no's. I know you can answer that because we've all been brainwashed into believing what I found to be one of the greatest lies ever told. You see, the truth is, in order to get more yeses, you actually have to get more yeses. It's not rocket science, right? But what I did find was that it was personality science. And so revenue was a direct result of figuring out who I'm talking to and then communicating to them extremely well, and then being able to unlock the yes and avoid the no. And for me, just my first year practicing these skills, I was able to take my income from $72,000 to over $500,000 and then over $1 million within 3 years. It completely changed my life. This is one of the skills you want to master. The third is retention. Of course, it's not just about closing the sale and getting the customers to say yes to you and to your offer of your products and services or your opportunity, but it's also about how do you retain them? Like the corporate world did retain 47 million people. And if you drive around your local city, you find out that there's businesses that are closed down, or there's for hire sign, help wanted signs everywhere. And all the restaurants and all these different places in the market, they're looking for good people because there was a mass exodus that we just talked about. People have changed what they're looking for as a way to be fulfilled. And this is why empowerment and purpose is absolutely critical. So retention is about how do you build long-term relationships with people? How do you actually keep them wanting to be a part of your team, wanting to join your tribe, and integrating them into your culture? And you want to be able to develop those skill sets. So that's number 2 is business. It's one of the second pillars for optimization to get to income, influence, and impact. The third pillar I want to introduce you to, and again, I want you to take good notes, is relationships. How do you strengthen your personal, your private, and your professional relationships? That's important. You know, it's not just important to have an incredible, successful career and be really great with everybody on your sales team or in your business or working with the company that you're with, but it's equally important to have incredible personal relationships. Personal relationships is going to help drive your happiness and connect you to your purpose. Personal relationships is about a relationship first with self. Do you have a good relationship with yourself? A relationship with your spouse or your significant other, the person that you're dating and intimate with. So important, right? You look out there in the world, more than 50% of people are divorced. Fractured relationships everywhere. And unfortunately, due to the turmoil of the last several years and the disruption of everything that's happening, relationships have really taken a beating. Domestic violence is up. Suicide is up. All kinds of stressors are up. Anxiety, depression, the use of medication is up. So you really need to hone in on mastering your ability to connect with your key relationships. Again, for me, my bank system really helped me to be able to do that and to build and solidify relationships. Some of our clients are coming back to us saying, your system saved our marriage. Your system made me a better parent. Your system prevented suicide. I mean, these are things that were mind-blowing to me because I thought I was here to help business owners and entrepreneurs make more money originally. And what it turned out was that this methodology that I'd created, the bank system, was actually changing and saving lives. So you want to make sure that you absolutely lock in your relationships and spend quality time. Go read the love languages. Go read the 4 agreements. Go indoctrinate yourself into what makes you really attractive as a human being, a great partner, a great friend, a great confidant. When you have great relationships and great relationship currency, you'll have the ability to unlock any door you want to walk through. The 4th pillar that I want to introduce you to is some of my favorite words, and that is emotional intelligence. You might have heard it called EQ. You've certainly heard of IQ, right? How smart you are, right? Can you pass those tests? Did you get straight A's? Well, IQ and EQ are 2 very different things. IQ is like your intelligence quotient, and EQ is like your emotional quotient. So there's something called emotional intelligence. And Harvard went out and did a study, and they're like, which one's more important, right? Is it IQ or EQ that's more important? And what they actually determined was that EQ is more important for your career, your happiness, your success, your fulfillment, and even your income. Having high emotional intelligence is a game changer. It makes you likable. It makes you magnetic. It makes you charismatic. Emotional intelligence is something that makes you a better human being. Emotional intelligence is an understanding of self, an awareness of what your emotions are. And sometimes people have a tendency to bottle up their emotions or to live in some form of denial and not even recognize what's really going on for themselves. So number 1, snap out of it. Wake up, get into your power, and find out where you are on a scale of emotional intelligence. There's 5 pieces. I'm not going to go into them now. But if you want to go deeper with me, I'm here as part of the academy, right? We can go on a deep dive of this. We change a lot of people's lives with emotional intelligence. And part 2 of emotional intelligence is your ability to recognize and have awareness of the other person and their emotional state of mind as well. How do you communicate to them differently? Do you have empathy? Can you actually put yourself in their shoes? For me, as I developed my emotional intelligence, wow, my life became so much better. Not only did I make way more money, because when you have emotional intelligence, you're just way more attractive, but I also became a much better friend, a much better spouse, and a much better parent. Emotional intelligence is something that you absolutely want to look more into, and it's something that can make a huge difference for you in the quality of life that you live. Okay, step into your power, become emotionally intelligent. There's ways to do that, and we can go on deeper dives if you wish. The 5th pillar of this optimization system that I want to take you through today is leadership. The world is in need of great leaders. Now is your time to rise. If you're like, man, I want to step into my power, now is the time to really advance your leadership competencies. John Maxwell, in his book, he talks about the 3 phases of leadership. So I'm just going to pull them out right here. Phase 1 is you have to be a great follower. You want to surround yourself by mentors and masters and people who can help to level you up, and you want to follow them. You want to follow them to victory. That's why I love that you're here at this event, and I'm going to strongly recommend that you get yourself involved and become a member here with Mind Motion Academy. Indoctrinate yourself with incredible teachings from the masters and the mentors that are out there. And one word of caution, because there's a lot of free training that's out there in the world. You can look at YouTube and everywhere else, but I love what Robert Kiyosaki, the author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, said. He said, stop taking advice from people more messed up than you. I thought, That is great advice, because there's a lot of people who are going to try to tell you how to get rich and how to improve your life and, step into your power. And just word of caution, look at their track record. See if they have an amazing life. See if they have abundance and true wealth. See if they have great relationships and relationship currency. It's not just about the number of followers that they have, because there's a lot of fake stuff on social media as well. Okay, so look into that. But leadership, so phase 1 is being a great follower. Phase 2 is to become a leader of followers. And this is where you can start to step into your leadership. Step into your leadership. And usually your income kind of matches these 3 phases. I have found for most entrepreneurs, people starting their business, that when they're in phase 1, a follower, typically their income is less than $10,000 a year. It's not a lot. Okay, that's why you want to become a great follower real fast, so that you can become a leader of followers. And here their income becomes usually in the 5 figures. So you're seeing people being able to make somewhere upwards to $100,000. Phase 3 leadership is where it's at. Okay, phase 3 leadership is when you become a leader of leaders. Okay, a leader of leaders. And when you do that, typically you unlock access to over $100,000 a year. You're making a 6-figure income when you can find out how to become a leader of leaders. Now, I'll tell you a secret between you and me. If you want to unlock 7 figures, if you want to become a millionaire, and by the way, some people say money doesn't buy you happiness. Not true. Money buys a lot of happiness. And you and I both know money isn't everything. That's why you need to have the science of achievement and the art of fulfillment. This is why stepping into your power and connecting to your purpose is so absolutely critical. But if you want to become a 7-figure income earner, then you want to become a phase 4 leader, which is to become a leader of leaders leading leaders. You can do that in your traditional business. You can do that in your career path as an employee. You can do that as an entrepreneur. You can do that as a network marketer. But the key is to develop leadership inside of your sphere of influence. If you want to know how to become an influencer, then work your way up in leadership. And as you go back and look at the 5 pillars that I just introduced you to, and as a reminder, imagine if your goal is to become a phase 4 bonus unlock leader, where you're becoming a leader of leaders, leading leaders in the world. Just like the experts that are here at Mind Motion Academy, right? Just like when you look at who your ultimate mentors are and the masters that you're following their work, then communication is critical. Having a busy business savviness where you can expand your reach, your revenue, and your retention is absolutely critical. Creating amazing relationships and developing relationship currency that will allow you to unlock any door you want to get access to, because you've heard this before. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And actually both are important. Raising your emotional intelligence and just becoming so magnetically attractive that people are sucked into your vortex and they want to follow you. They want to surround themselves with you. They want to be a part of your ethos, your ecosystem, your business, your community, your tribe. And number 5 is leadership. As I've said, the world needs more leaders, and the world is waiting for you to step into your power, to step up and rise up, and to go out there and create massive impact for humanity. There's 3 circles that you want to vibrate out to. Number 1 is you want to dial in your family and do this for your family, your immediate family, right? Go out there and earn income, influence, and impact for your family. Number 2 is go out there and impact your community. You can start local, get involved, and start working with other people that are in your community so that you can really help them right there locally. And when you're ready to play big and you want to expand your income, your influence, and your impact, then get out there and do something big for humanity. Mind Motion Academy is playing big. This is a worldwide event. This is not just about your family and your community, but this is about impacting humanity and giving you access to some of the most incredible tools, trainings, and technologies to take you and your family to that next level. So I'm honored to be a part of this. Thank you so much for inviting me to speak here at your conference. I hope that you get involved with us here at Mind Motion Academy. And on that note, and the most important thing that we care about here with our system and our company and our community is to get out there and make people matter. Make people matter, make a difference for people. That'll help you stay empowered. That'll help you connect to your purpose, and that'll help you take it to the bank. Bye for now, and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Andy Craig helps individuals and companies break through their limiting beliefs to create the results that they desire. Andy will help you turn your life into a masterpiece quickly and gain confidence to be able to achieve anything you want and destroy all obstacles in your life. Anthony Russo has a 12-year track record as an event host and an MC for major national events and national brands, with audiences ranging from 10 to 75,000. Versatility and adaptability are key components to Anthony's incredible leadership.
You know, Cheri, that was some wisdom. I hope everybody that's watching really absorbed just how powerful that knowledge is, because knowledge is not only power, knowledge is progression. Well, guess what? Next up, we have a very special individual as well, and his name is Buckley. Rocky is an entrepreneur, a coach, a consultant, and the creator of the Platinum Path Mastermind, where he and his faculty of experts help thought leaders, authors, speakers, consultants, and coaches reinvent themselves with their expertise and shift into a high-priced, lifestyle-friendly business model. Now, when you think about that, it's absolutely fantastic. And I want you to listen closely now to what Rocky shares, because again, this is wisdom that can change all areas of your life.
Hi, I'm Buckley, and I'd like to welcome you to the Power Through Purpose workshop. Purpose is a topic that's talked a lot about in popular culture, and especially in the business space. We've all heard about the power of having a big why behind what we do, that when it's unleashed, purpose can be a driving force that gives us the motivation, energy, and focus to make things happen and achieve great things. We've also heard about how our purpose can be transformational in the lives of others, because when we're able to communicate it out into the world, other people can catch our vision and we can motivate them as well. So purpose is something that can light us on fire and then light other people on fire, and can make a profound difference in our communities, our nations, and in our world. There's never been a major movement or achievement in history that's happened without a great sense of purpose driving it. So we know that it's important, and the truth is we can sense when it's missing and we don't have purpose. Life feels meaningless. We have no real sense of direction. Our lives feel adrift and disorganized. Purpose is something we actually need to give our lives meaning and focus. So purpose is the most important area to figure out in our lives, because it drives everything else from the top down. When we have a strong sense of purpose, a big why, and a reason behind what we're trying to do, everything else aligns beneath it and becomes energized. And again, from a leadership standpoint, purpose is the power source that gives us the passion and enthusiasm to move other people as well. So it all sounds great, but the reality is that purpose is often elusive. If we look around us, it's clear that, sadly, many people in life don't have a great sense of purpose. They may not have one at all, or if they do, it's unclear and not well-defined or exciting enough to be compelling. So only a relatively small percentage of people in our world are tapped into a strong sense of purpose that functions as a driving force in their daily life. So in this presentation, I want to share with you a framework for a personal workshop you can use to understand purpose in a whole new way, to get crystal clear and emotionally charged in your own life, and transfer purpose into action and achievement. Now, in the work that I do with solopreneurs, authors, experts, thought leaders, people who are personal brands and change makers, I usually talk about purpose in the context of leadership, how to leverage your purpose in your role of a public figure, where you're trying to build a following, to communicate powerfully, to motivate and inspire your audience. Now, the same principles that we would use in that context can apply to anyone who wants to be a person of influence, who wants to make a big impact as a leader. So whether that's within your family, your community, on the job, in your nation, or the world, wherever you can make a difference, this workshop is for you. Okay, very quickly before we jump into the material, let me just share a little bit about who I am. I'm an entrepreneur, a consultant, a coach, and a mentor. Over the last 22 years, I've helped my clients bring over $100 million in books, courses, training programs, and information products to the market. I've consulted on over 3,000 projects for clients that range from billion-dollar brands to experts, authors, and entrepreneurs in 7 countries and in over 100 different markets. I'm also the creator of a program for experts called Platinum Path and a membership community called the Power Persona Project, where I get to work with business owners and leaders from all around the world and have conversations with superstars like Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank, legendary authors and speakers like Bob Berg, and internet marketing gurus like Stu McLaren and Pedro Adeo, and many more. And over the course of my life and my career, I've served in many leadership roles where purpose and vision have been front and center in everything I've done. So the concepts you're going to learn are extremely important to me, and I know how powerful and transformational they can be in practice. Okay, let's get into it. As we talked about at the top, we know purpose is super important, and one of the fundamental reasons is that when we have a clearly defined, vivid sense of purpose and vision, it aligns and illuminates all the other areas of our lives. And this is especially true when it's about something bigger than ourselves. That's where the emotional power is in purpose. See, it's one thing to have a goal and say, I want to make $1 million. But when you want to make $1 million because you have an inspiring vision of all the lives you can impact, it changes everything. When we get a vision of something bigger than ourselves, there's so much more energy and motivation that galvanizes us because we'll do things for other people that we would never even think of doing for ourselves alone. We'll go further, we'll make sacrifices, we'll take risks. We'll do all sorts of things to help other people that we wouldn't do if it were just about us and limited to our own self-interest. And so this higher sense of purpose is what compels us to take action, to grow, to expand to a much larger role, where we have a bigger vision of ourselves and our potential and the difference that we can make in the world. And when we have that, it orders and organizes all of the other levels of who we are. Our personal identity shifts, the self-image that we have of who we are, the role that we play in the world, who we're here to serve. Our beliefs begin to change, the way that we look at how the world works, the rules that we set up for ourselves, the possibilities that exist for us. It all begins to open up and we get a bigger vision for the future. Our capabilities change. When we have this big vision for our lives and who we can become, we start to step into different areas of skill. We want to learn new things, we want to grow, we want to change and become that better person that can make a difference. So we're driven to improve and to add skill sets to ourselves that we don't currently have. And our everyday behaviors and habits begin to change. The way that we structure our days, the activities that we pursue, the way that we use our time, the kind of things that we focus on, or whether that might be our diet or the time we get up in the morning. All of those kind of behaviors begin to shift and organize around serving that larger purpose. And finally, we begin to make changes in our environment, the choices and decisions that we make about where we live, the kind of people we associate with, our career path. We start to change things in ways that play out in real life, in our real environment around that larger purpose. So if we want to make a difference, for example, we want to help feed the poor or change the world in some way, that sense of mission is going to have a practical top-down effect on everything that we do, all the way down to the minutia of every day. Okay, well, so what's the problem, right? Why are there so many people living lives without purpose? Well, there are a lot of reasons behind that. For some people, it's a lack of awareness. They don't really understand the importance of purpose or ever think about life at a big picture level. There are also a lot of people who philosophically believe that life ultimately has no larger purpose. And the truth is, life is hard. It's complex. We can get beaten down by life. We can become jaded. And we don't want to dream big anymore. We don't want to be disappointed. And it can just be very easy to check out of pursuing any kind of meaning or purpose. A lack of purpose can also be related to our worldview or our belief system. Sometimes we can have a very high-minded idea of what purpose is to the point where we get locked into an idea of destiny, that I was born to do this one big thing that's outside of me and I have to figure out. It's almost like a hero's journey concept where we think there's this mysterious thing that I was born to do. And that kind of belief creates a lot of pressure. It can be extremely paralyzing and almost impossible to know with any kind of certainty. And even for people who do have some sense of purpose, like for example, I'm here to be a good person, or I'm here to help other people, it's very vague, it's unclear, and it doesn't have enough specificity to actually be able to envision it or for it to be emotionally compelling. And the truth is, it can take a lot of focus and effort to figure this out. It's not intuitive to most people to take the time to work on this and get clear and do the kind of vision work that's required. Okay, so what's the solution? How do we learn to move from either no purpose or an unclear purpose to a driving force that's super sharp, well-defined, lights us on fire, and motivates us? Well, the first thing is we need to crack the word purpose open. The word purpose is, in linguistic terms, something called a nominalization. And that's when we take an action, a process, and we freeze it into a noun. When we do that in language, we essentially bundle up an entire sequence of activities into one static word so that we can no longer see the action or motion inside of it. So when we use the word purpose, we can't visualize what it looks like in our mind because the action has been frozen into kind of a word cloud. It's fuzzy and we can't see the process. So we need to crack the word open and see that process again. And when we do, we might start to think of purpose as a verb, purposing. What would it look like in practice if we were purposing? Okay, so by turning it into an action, it enables us to take control of the process, to look at purpose not as something that we find, but that we actively create. And that's what we're going to do in this workshop. I want to share with you a simple 4-step process that we're going to use to create purpose. Here's how it works. We're going to first discover the core emotional drivers that will act as our power source to fuel our purpose. Then we're going to give those emotional drivers depth and dimension and crystallize our purpose into a well-defined outcome that captures our imagination and that we can vividly see in our mind's eye. And finally, we're going to take it to the next level. We're going to dream even bigger so that our purpose expands, becomes a powerful resource and vision that we can draw upon any time to change our emotional state, to motivate us and inspire us, and to be able to communicate with passion and charisma so that it inspires others. The way you want to do this is to get away by yourself to an environment that really inspires you. So for me, that would be the beach. It might be somewhere up in the mountains. It could even be a city or a nice hotel room. Dedicate at least a full day to doing this, ideally a weekend. You'll want the time and space to think without distractions and really give yourself that gift. You don't need to bring much with you, a good notebook, some pens or markers, maybe a blank sketch pad if you're somebody who likes to draw or mind map. I would also strongly recommend having a way to record some of your sessions on video. This can be a really important aspect of brainstorming because if you're like me and you're not a great note taker, recording yourself on video allows you to capture all of your emotion, the way that you were really thinking and feeling at the time, in ways that don't translate to written notes. So I'd highly recommend having some way to record yourself on video during some of these brainstorming sessions. Okay, that's the setup. Now let's get started with step 1, discovery. Now, as I said a little bit earlier, the first step to discovering purpose is to ask that question, who am I here for? It's about something bigger than yourself. Purpose is its most powerful when it transcends us, when it's about something bigger than ourselves. Now, there are always going to be internal reasons for doing what we do, and some of the personal benefits that we'll get out of it, and that's totally fine. But I believe there's a whole other level to purpose when we understand why, for example, we want to build $1 billion company, and what the far-reaching effects are. Who are we touching? How are we making people's lives better? Who do we become as a result? I believe that emotionally, a bigger vision is going to galvanize and inspire us far more. And that's the kind of place I'm coming from on this. I want us to be able to see and feel the big picture impact of everything that we're doing. I believe that as part of human nature, nothing excites us and inspires us more than being here to do things for other people. And we can imagine that larger effect over time and space, and maybe even across generations. That's where our lives feel like they meant something and that we made a difference in the world. Now, I believe that the power of purpose is fully released when we can tap into the emotion in it, the feeling of what we're going to accomplish, We need to find that emotional source inside of us. Okay, so what I want you to do here is take out your notebook or your sketch pad and begin brainstorming all the categories of life that are important to you. You might want to envision this like a pie chart or a wheel, or create some kind of a mind map or diagrams or boxes. But the idea here is to identify the big block categories of life that you really care about. So this might be money, health, relationships, really as many as you can think of. Then what I want you to do is to identify the ones that you care about the most and start breaking those up into much more specific subcategories. So for example, let's say health is super important to you. Well, within health, there might be subcategories like exercise or nutrition or stress or sleep. And what we want to do with these is to create a map of your life and identify where the emotion is, okay? So as you look at these, we want you to look for strong emotion. The emotion that we tap into is usually going to be problem focused, like an area where people struggle or some kind of suffering that really moves us. So as you look at these, where do you feel a strong sense of compassion or anger, like that there's some kind of injustice in the world or where there's something wrong that needs to be fixed? And so as we do this, we can look inside of ourselves, we can look into our life story, the way that we see the world. Where are those things that motivate us? Where are those things that drive us? We can identify it by a strong emotion of compassion or anger that rises up in us. It's something that we can actually feel in our body. Okay, so take some time to look inward, look across your experiences, the way that you see the world, and figure out where are those hot spots where you emotionally respond. That's where you're going to find the clues. So for me, I had to go through a process of looking at, what I care about the most. And there were a lot of things, but I really had to drill down into something very primal and essential. And for me, I came to the realization that it was the idea of wasted potential. I cared a lot about my own potential. I was somebody who grew up as a high potential person, and I just hated the idea and the fear that I could somehow waste my life, that I'd be a person who had all this ability to do great things and wasted it and never became anything. And I hate to see the same thing in other people who are talented and have great gifts and abilities, and they're just stuck. Their lives are being wasted, essentially doing things they don't care about, that are uninspiring to them, and they're living in this kind of trapped desperation. So that's an example that helped me get clear on a profound driver for myself. And I knew that I was onto something when I found that emotion rising up, and it felt like a hot spot. And every time I go back and I think about wasted potential, this thing rises up in me where I feel like I care about it a lot. And I can tap into that, and it animates me every single time. So what I want you to do is to be able to go and find those areas in your own life where there's this thing that makes you angry, or you see suffering and you want to help, right? You want to fix that problem. Where is that for you? I want you to be able to really get in touch with that pain, get in touch with those problems, and start to look at it differently as your source of purpose. Okay, now let's look at it from a solution standpoint. I want you to imagine and visualize what would happen if you could help others to overcome that, to fix that problem. What would happen if you could bring change? And I want you to feel that in your body as well. Allow yourself in your mind's eye to see what kind of difference that would make, what that would be like, who you would be if you could help other people in that way. Get a vision for yourself in that role. Okay, now look, this is something important. I want you to raise your standards here and realize that you're capable of doing great things. I want you to break through any mindset that holds you back and tells you that you can't be a person that makes a great difference in the world. I really want you to be able to see yourself as a person who can impact people's lives and feel what that's like. So allow yourself to tap into the emotion of achievement and joy and success in helping other people. These emotions are going to be the source for defining your sense of purpose, and we're going to use it as a building block. Okay, now let's move to step 2, dimension. Now that we've started to get a sense of passion and feeling strong emotions about a problem, and then being the solution to that problem, we want to go below the surface and into all of its deeper dimensions to get a much more rich, vivid, and emotionally compelling level of clarity. In this step, we want to break down that thing that we care about at a very deep level and feel the full impact of the pain surrounding this problem. We want to be able to feel the full magnitude of that problem on all areas of their lives in ways that they might not even understand. What this problem is costing them on all levels in its totality. So for example, let's say somebody has a problem with their physical body. Maybe you have a deep compassion for people who have become very obese and very unhealthy. You want to fix that. Well, how does this problem of obesity show up in their everyday life? How does it affect their household? How does it affect their energy level? What kind of behaviors does it affect? What do their daily habits look like? What does their time, the way they use their calendar look like? How is it affecting their ability to grow and add new skills? Right? Or maybe they're depressed and they're pessimistic. They have low self-esteem and feel like they can't grow. They don't have any energy. How does this look at the belief level? What's happening inside their head? How do they see the world? How does this problem create limiting beliefs for them that hold them back from achieving anything that they want to, like having happiness, having comfort, a sense of freedom in their lives? How is this problem affecting them inside their head, right? Between their ears? How are they looking at the world? And I want you to imagine that and feel what's happening to them on an identity level. How does this person feel when they look in the mirror and they've got this kind of problem going on in their lives, right? What is this affecting? How is it affecting the way they see themselves? And what are the costs of that? What's the price that they're paying? Okay, and on a higher level, is their obesity cutting off their sense of purpose in their lives, right? We're talking about purpose here, but when a person is struggling with a big problem, chances are they're not accessing some larger sense of purpose. Their focus is on their problems, right? They might feel hopeless and without any sense of purpose, without any meaning in their life, and no hope for the future. Okay, so I want you to look at all these different levels that we operate on and how this problem is showing up in each, because I want you to get a very rich sense of the level of suffering and all the impact that this problem is having on their life. I want you to feel all of that and really kind of agitate it so that it becomes emotional for you. What does it feel like to be them? Okay, now we're going to go through the same process in reverse, and we're going to give depth and dimension to the solution. What would happen if you could help them to change this problem in their life? How would their environment change? What's going to happen in their relationships, at their job, in their home? How is this going to change in the places they're able to go? Will they feel more free? Will they laugh? Will they enjoy life? What kind of things will they be able to do now? How will this actually look in their environment? How will their behaviors change? How will their everyday life start to look in terms of the kind of habits they have, the way that they operate and run their life? How will that change? What weren't they able to do before that they now can? How will their ability to grow change? What's going to open up for them in terms of adding new abilities and new skills to their life? Where will that lead? Right? How will their beliefs change? What's going to shift inside of them about the way they see the world and what's possible for them, about the rules that they have for their life? What happens to the limits that they formerly put on themselves? How's that going to change, right? And how will it change at the identity level? What happens in their self-image and their self-esteem when they look in the mirror? How do they see themselves differently? And what's going to happen in terms of opening up that highest level of purpose? How they see their own role in the world and who they can become and who they can inspire and serve and impact. Okay, so I want you to go through this whole spectrum and see this massive realignment and shift that takes place in that person, in that changed life because of your impact on them. I want you to be able to vividly imagine and see this in your mind's eye and feel that emotion of something rising up in you that's exciting about being able to help that person to make that change. Now, to make it even more vivid, you might want to consolidate all of your work into an imaginary person or character that you can focus your attention on. In business, we would call this a customer avatar or a buyer persona. You can give this person a name, a backstory, and really detail out their life. It could be a powerful resource for you, but it could be a shortcut to accessing your sense of purpose and impact. And now, just as an aside, I want you to understand that you can keep refining this, keep expanding this, all these different dimensions over time. You don't have to have it perfect, and you can keep adding things as you go on. Okay, now let's move to step 3 in this workshop, definition. What we want to do now is to distill and crystallize exactly what your purpose is. and language it into a specific definition that's clear and measurable. Very much like we would do if we were doing goal setting, okay? Now I want you to understand that it doesn't have to be real or final. It just has to be something that's useful and meaningful to you right now. It can always be changed. It can always be updated. So again, I want you to be free from the idea that you have to be perfect with this. Now, just to give you an example, a defined purpose for me as someone who's working with entrepreneurs and experts and thought leaders might be that, my mission is to help 10,000 undiscovered stars to unlock their potential as public figures, to help them build successful businesses and lifestyles and become the leaders of the future. That's even better if it has a date attached to it, say by 2030, okay? So the bottom line is it needs to be something that you can see in your mind's eye, and you'll know whether or not you've achieved it. So I want you to have a crystal clear purpose that animates you, that excites you, that feels like it's a cause, okay? That when you talk about it, you get excited. And the beauty of that is when you communicate with that kind of emotion and enthusiasm, it releases all of your natural passion and your charisma, and you become magnetic and your vision becomes contagious to others. Okay, so what we want to do here is take all this emotional drive that we have, this purpose that we care about, the people that we can impact, and crystallize it into a vision. I want you to be able to get a vision for the end result and be able to define it in clear language. Now, I want you to get a vision not only for the end result, but for the process that you're taking people through to achieve that kind of change and overcome that problem. Anticipate the challenges and the sticking points that they'll go through and envision what it looks like to help them through those and get to the other side. I want you to get an image of yourself as a leader, as someone with a vision that's so sharply defined, so vivid, that you're able to communicate it and articulate it powerfully to others. I want you to be able to describe it so clearly and compellingly that other people can see it in their mind's eye, that it's inspiring and it raises them up and it gets them to see possibilities they didn't see before. It sets them on fire and they want to be part of it. They actually want to achieve that goal. They want to be led by you in this area. Okay, now I want you to notice as you think about it, how does this make you feel? Right, very specifically, what's happening in your body? I want you to step outside yourself a little bit and notice the details. Right? What's your breathing like? What's your posture like? How do you walk? How do you talk when you're tapped into your sense of purpose and vision for yourself? Right? I want you to notice that you've shifted your emotional state. I want you to notice exactly what that state looks like. Right? Do you talk faster? Do you start talking with your hands like I do? Right? I want you to record all of this and write it down, because this is essentially a recipe that you can step into and you can change your state at any time. I want you to record all of this and write it down, because this is essentially a recipe that you can step into and change your state at any time. This is classic Tony Robbins stuff. We're talking about state change, and you can access it anytime simply by imagining your vision and then reproducing what's happening in your body. And this is especially useful when you need to communicate. So let's say, for example, you're going to go on camera or on stage in front of a lot of people. Anytime you need to communicate this purpose, you can snap into this state and become animated by it all over again. You can become transformed in real time by all of the emotions that are connected to fulfilling this purpose. This makes you tremendously powerful as a leader. It makes you charismatic to other people. You resonate and your enthusiasm becomes contagious to others. You can be a person who reaches people, emotionally impacts them, and influences them. And just for your own sake, to make sure that you're consistently feeling strong and focused and excited, you can tap into this state of purpose every single day and use it to guide your life. Okay, so let's go into step 4 now, dreaming. Now this step isn't critical, but I think it's really fun and mind expanding. This is more of a bonus step that can take your sense of purpose to a whole other level. We're going to imagine what becomes possible next as a result of achieving our purpose in the world. We're going to use a process that's called lateral thinking to spark our imagination and to brainstorm new possibilities and opportunities that could open up as we achieve our purpose. So let's say you're able to help 10,000 people become successful, or to lose all this weight, or whatever it might be for you. I want you to imagine what that would lead to for you and for all the people that you've helped. Are there skills that you've had to learn along the way that are now transferable to other areas? What does this enable you to do now? Who have you become? How have you changed? Who are you now in the world, right? Who are you now connected to that you weren't before? Who do you now have access to in your network of relationships? What will that open up for you? Right, so I want you to connect all of this back to your own sense of vision, your identity, and your self-image. Because now that you've achieved all of this, who could you be next? And I want you to open your mind and expand your vision to the best version of yourself and really feel that and step into this new you. And so while your overall purpose is something bigger than yourself, it transcends you, and that's the animating part of it, I don't want you to neglect the fact that you've changed. You've become a new person as a result of this. So it all connects back and loops back into you. You're part of this vision, and the growth that you've experienced will allow you to make even more of an impact. So think about it. Is there a new, higher level problem that emerges after you've helped people to solve the first one? Is there a new challenge? See, achieving purpose can be like climbing to the top of a mountain only to realize that once you get there, there are multiple mountains ahead of you. Right? We climb to the top and now all of a sudden we've got a whole new vantage point. What other mountains can you now see? Where could you go next? And who could you become and how would you change? What's the ultimate best version of you that allows you to fulfill your highest purpose in the world? So I want you to just dream a little bit and get a sense of that, because the vision that you have for your future can greatly inform the choices you make today. I think you're going to find that there's a whole other level of excitement and passion that opens up for you now. And even though this is just in your imagination right now, it's really fantastic to start getting that longer term vision of who you could become in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and the legacy that you can leave behind. So when you dream at this level, it expands your sense of purpose and of your potential. It's something you can feel in your body: energy, enthusiasm, excitement. And it hardwires into you this compelling vision that pulls you forward into the future. Okay, so those are the 4 steps of our purpose workshop: discovery, dimension, definition, and dreaming. When you put these 4 pieces together, the future opens up for you in a new way. You'll open up a whole new level of awareness of what's possible for you. And you'll be fueled by a powerful purpose that animates and energizes your entire life. You're going to become a charismatic and magnetic leader who can transfer your vision, your passion, and your enthusiasm to other people. By mastering the steps of this workshop, you're going to have a resource that you can now draw upon anytime. Right? Life's going to happen, you're going to get busy, you're going to get knocked off course sometimes, but when you can do a workshop like this, you'll have a lifetime skill that you can step into anytime you need to. So this is here for you as a resource. I also believe that this is something you can share with others and teach others and light them on fire too. So I want to thank you for going through this workshop with me. Use it well, and I believe it's going to transform the quality of your life and the lives of others. And I look forward to hearing your story and seeing your purpose made real.
Brendan Gable is a men's development expert and life coach. His teaching focuses around the empowerment of men at every level of life. No more feeling lost, stuck, confused, or alone. Become a better version of yourself. Carl is an internationally board-certified trainer and acclaimed master practitioner of neuro-linguistic programming. Carl is a master hypnotherapist and astropsychologist.
Hey, Rocky, thank you so much for sharing that with everybody. Again, it's just getting better and better and better tonight, so I'm super excited. And coming up next, we have an amazing instructor. But first, I want to let you know what we at Mind Motion Academy are going to do for you tonight. When you enroll tonight, your subscription to Mind Motion Academy will never go up as long as you stay subscribed. It will never go up as long as you stay subscribed. We want to do that for you. We want to do something else. We want to give you a $500 Mind Masterpiece program simply for subscribing tonight to Mind Motion Academy. That's right, a $500 Mind Masterpiece program that has the potential to change a lot of areas of your life. We want to do that for you, so make sure that you go to the chat, hit the link, subscribe now, go to the website on your screen, make sure you subscribe to Mind Motion now, and we will get that out to you, and your subscription will never go up. So next up, we have Tamilee Webb. And Tamilee Webb is America's most trusted fitness instructor. You know, if you've ever seen her no hype, down-to-earth attitude has endeared her to millions of fans worldwide. Tamilee is best known as the star of the famous Buns of Steel and Abs of Steel fitness video series. Now listen, this is impressive. Combined sales of Tamilee's video titles are over 14 million units. I'm excited, and Tamilee, I will turn it over to you.
Hi, I'm Tamilee Webb. I'm better known for my Buns of Steel, my video series that I did back in the early 90s. Buns of Steel, Abs of Steel, Thighs of Steel, all the steels. It didn't always start that way because as a little girl, I was teased nonstop about my bubble butt. Now what that does, it gives you a complex about your body. I would bring it up to people before anybody could say anything to me that, yeah, I know, I have a bubble butt. And I remember one day I was out shopping with my girlfriends, and we were all going to buy the latest jeans. And those jeans, you want, of course, when you're with your girlfriends, you want everybody to have the same size, even though bodies are very different. And I noticed that I had to get a bigger size. And when I got a bigger size to fit my bubble butt, my waist, it was way too big. So I always had to have them taken in. Again, it's reminding myself that there must be something wrong with my body. Well, by the time I got into college, I had roommates and we were all the same height, pretty much the same build. And I remember that I was going to go into learning about the body because I was so intrigued that why do I have a bubble butt and somebody else has no butt? Or why is it that I can do this and they can't do that on a physical form? Now, I was raised with brothers. I had three brothers. I had to play sport. I was very active. So having a bubble butt and being strong and being a tomboy at that time was no problem. And in college, I wanted to learn why is it that my roommates all weighed less than I did, although we looked the same. We were the same height. And so what I found out is that not every body is exactly the same, whether it's the same height or the way that it looks on the outside. Well, what I learned is muscle has a different valuation when you step on the scale. All right, so it's not the same thing. And in college, I decided I am going to learn as much as I can about the human body. And so I did my studies in exercise science. Back in those days, they called it exercise science. Today, we call it kinesiology. And it's fascinating because to learn about the body and how it functions, not just internally, but externally. And why is it that I can do the same exercise as this person and yet I'm not getting the same results? And that's because everybody's body's a little bit different. And this is where I love teaching you about what is your body type. Are you an ectomorph? Are you a mesomorph? Or are you an endomorph? You got to know your body. You got to know what you're starting with. So one of the things that you got to look at is when you look at a body, think of it as your house. You have to have the foundation, and the foundation has got to be solid, because if it's not and you're building the house up and above, it won't remain the same because the foundation isn't solid. So what are those foundations? The foundation is one, understanding you, understanding your body. And if you will do that and take care of your body will take care of you. So as I gained some confidence after bubble butt and understanding that, well, I was built with a bubble butt because I inherited somewhat from my parents, right? So your bodies are genetically determined, but what you do with that body is up to you. And because I was so active, I was always working the muscles. I was active. I was moving. I was always in motion. And that is one of the key components to getting the body or the results of your goals, is you've got to keep your body in motion. You have to keep moving. If you stay in one spot, you're not going to get there. And the other component to that is being consistent. You must be consistent. It is not one of those things where you go, you know what? I think I'm going to go on this 10-day workout routine. Well, 10 days is going to get you what? It's going to be better than what it was at day one. But if you go 21 days, which is pretty much when you start changing the landscape. I call it the landscape. Because landscape is whatever it is your body's used to doing, it's its natural, I'm going to go this direction, or habits is a landscape. Well, we've got to change that. And in order to change it, you have to adapt new consistency of activities and way of living. So when it comes to reaching those goals, let's look at the whole thing right here from the top to the bottom. And one of the things that I always like to ask my clients is, all right, so is it when you look good, you feel good? Or is it when you feel good, you look good? Think about that for a minute. There is no right or wrong to either one. When I look good, I feel good. Or is it when I feel good, I look good? So here's what those two differences mean. If you said, when I feel good, I look good. And that means that is an emotional body. That's a feeling. That's something you're feeling on the inside. You get up and you're like, you know what? I feel good today. That means you're going to put on what it is that you feel good in. And then the other one is a physical of you're looking, you put yourself together, you look in the mirror and going, dang, I look pretty good. I'm working this. So either one is right, but it will change based on your feelings or what you're seeing. So when I work with my clients, I always want them to understand this is not about just diet and exercise. That's not what it's about. One is about understanding your body, not mine, yours. Let's see what we're working with. And then we've got to look at the emotional body and the physical body, which is exactly what I just asked you. Is it when I feel good, I look good? Or is it when I look good, I feel good? They're both kind of right. Now, when you are going through your 20s, you're like, whatever. When you get to your 30s, you're like, okay, I want it. I want to look good. I'm looking for a great job, a great mate. I want it all. And you care about it. So most of the time you're in when I look good, I feel good. When you get to your 40s, you're trying to hold on to what you had in your 30s. And when I say hold on, I'm talking about what you have acquired into your body. Because when you're younger, your body can get in shape a lot quicker than as you get older. But don't give up. There is no failure here whatsoever. So in your 40s, you see a little change and you're like, whoa, I got to hold on to that because I still want to look good. And then in your 50s, all of a sudden it goes, okay, I have some challenges here. And my challenge is I have to confront what's going on because we're going to change. We're all going to change. Nothing remains the same. We get new cells every single day and we shed those cells. All right. And so you need to keep those cells going. You need to keep in motion. So in the 50s, you go, okay, I want to feel good. I want to feel good to look good. And then in your 60s and your 70s, it's, I really want to feel good and look good. And you know what? the one common thread through all those ages is muscle. Now, back in my days, muscle was not what women did. You don't want to lift weights. You don't want to work your muscles because you don't want these big muscles and look like a guy. Guess what? You're not going to look like a guy. You don't have the hormones for that. But muscles are your friends. And here's another fact. Muscles don't age. They will atrophy. If you don't use them, then you're going to lose them. You've heard that before. Bodies in motion stay in motion. So remember, I had said, you've got to move, you got to keep moving, and you have to be consistent in doing this. But then you think, oh, now I'm going to have to spend all this time working out, finding time to work out, and I have a million excuses. Let's look at some of those excuses. I have no time, which I think is the number one. I have no time. I don't like to sweat. It's too expensive. It hurts. It's not within my time frame today. There's every excuse you can make. Well, here's the beauty of muscles. It doesn't take a lot of time. You don't have to get on a treadmill and do an hour of jogging or cycling. It takes what? That's right, consistency. But one of the things you need to take into consideration is, remember we're talking about our 20s and our 30s and our 40s and our 50s. Now, I have been doing this for a very long time. I am now in my 60s, and I asked a client, what would you say about me to somebody that was going to ask, well, how does she look? Does she look the same? And this is what I got time and time again. I was quite surprised by it. Is because I'm thinking, well, no, she's still fit. She's still working out. She's older, wrinkles, whatever. But it was, girl, your buns are still as high as they were. So it's keeping the muscle up high, because if I don't use it, guess what? It's going to sag. And if you have no butt muscles back there, and you do, you just haven't used them, then you don't want to be a pancake butt. All right? You just don't want that look. It is not pretty at all. So you've got to work your muscles. Now, with each decade, your muscles will atrophy if you don't use them. And I'm sure you've all seen this, like the men that are in their 70s, and all of a sudden they if you look from here down, they look like they're in their 40s or their 30s because they have those muscles. And it's because muscles don't age. That is your weapon. You have it. You just have to use it at that time of your life when you go, okay, this was easy. I got in shape in no time. And then as you get older, it takes a little bit more time. But it's not necessarily more time. It's being better at being consistent. Because when you're younger, you could work out maybe 3 days a week and get that great body. As we get older, we might have to do it every day, but every day for how much? Doesn't matter, as long as you are using your muscles. Martin Luther King once said, if you cannot fly, then run. If you cannot run, then walk. If you cannot walk, crawl. But whatever you do, keep moving. And that resonates on all kinds of levels. That means mentally, emotionally, physically. And so when I tell people, look, all you have to do is to move your body, do something every single day. And my favorites are the 4 ups. I'm going to give them to you now because I usually give them when I'm working with clients. But the 4 ups are sit-ups, push-ups, pull-ups, and step-ups. If you did 1 minute of each of those 4 exercises, you're at 5 minutes. Everybody has 5 minutes a day. You do, you have it. And even if you can't go up, I can't do a push-up for 1 minute. Well, if you can't get on the floor and do a push-up for 1 minute, then do it off the wall. When that becomes easy, bring it down to the counter. When that becomes easy, bring it down to a bench. When that becomes easy, go to the floor. If you can't do a full-on push-up, do it on your knees. There's always ways to do it. Just do it. And it's the same with every exercise. Life is full of mountains and valleys. Mountains and valleys of some days we're feeling like we're climbing that mountain. We're climbing and climbing and climbing. We just want to get at the top of the mountain. And then we get at the top of the mountain and we're like, yes, I feel good. I look good. Everything is great in my life. And that would be great to have every single day. But in reality, a lot of times we're down in the valley. And instead of looking at that valley as, oh, I'm down in the slumps, I don't know which direction to go, I don't know if I can climb that next mountain, is that you need to rejuvenate yourself. That is the time that your body maybe needs a quiet time. It needs to repair itself. It needs to bring all the energy and the knowledge that you're going to need to climb that next mountain, because that next mountain might be a little bit higher. And then you'll have that spark, and then you'll start climbing and climbing and climbing, and you'll get to the top. And what you want to do is you want to turn around and acknowledge what you've done for yourself. You've got to take back your power, because you have the power. It's inside. And that power is a combination of the mind and that body. You want to turn around and acknowledge the emotional body for yourself and the physical body. You've got to take back your power. So what are you saying in your head? Because you have the power. Oh, it's you can't inside. Do that. You look awful. You don't look like those girls or guys on Instagram. Well, if you're telling yourself that, your body is responding, because your mind and your body are connected. And that's why we want to be able to change that emotional body so that our physical body can work together with it to climb that mountain and achieve your goals. All right, so yes, you're going to have mountains and valleys. And when you're down in that valley, take that as a sign of, great, I've done a great job so far. I obviously have plateaued. I need to rejuvenate myself, get ready for the next climb. Don't ever settle with what you don't want in your life. Take that back, all right? Take it back. Now, I want to talk about a little bit when someone says, yeah, but you've got to really cut calories to be able to lose weight. Well, what's your goal? Is it just to have a less number on the scale? Okay, I don't like that number. I want it to be down 20 pounds. Well, guess what? It's not about the number. It's about the body. Dieting alone will change the number on the scale. It will. It'll come down. But it is exercise that will change your body, not dieting alone. And it's why we need a combination of all of it together. One doesn't work without the other. Because if you're just dieting, you'll see the scale go down, but all your body does is keeps the same shape, just like letting out the air, like a balloon. Let out some of that air and it just gets a little bit smaller, but the shape is the same. That's not what you want. You want to be able to change the shape. If you want a bubble butt and you don't have a bubble butt, or you want buns of steel and you have a flat butt, I know how to make that change. And it's working the muscle. It's not sitting on it. But if you have to sit on it, I can show you exactly how you can work your gluteus maximus in a seated position, because there's always ways to work your muscles. Your muscles are your friends. Don't ever give up on your muscles. In our society today, we are all about instant gratification. Instant. And our technology has helped us with that. Instant gratification. We flip through all the stories, pictures, whatever, and we're drawn to things that captures our attention. We might stay a little bit longer. Well, that's a good thing and it's a bad thing, because nothing really, really good happens overnight. You've got to put in a little bit of time and be consistent. Yep, I'm going back to movement and consistency. You can do that, even if it's moving your hands, moving your arms, moving your legs. Get up out of your seat. You have it within yourself. So now, in your mind, we are putting together the mind and the body connection. So I'm going to have you try this. I wish I could see exactly how you're doing it, because this is a little drill that I do with my clients to get them to understand that our mind and our bodies are connected. And if you come in and you're like, oh, I don't know if I can do that. So let's say it's a core balance exercise. Well, let's start with the mental first. So here it is. It's a neuromuscular type of drill. So you're going to point your finger on one hand, and then you're going to give me a thumb on the other hand. Got it? All right. On 3, I'm going to ask you to switch very quickly. 1, 2, 3. How'd you do? Switch, 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 switch. Now, if you had to think about it, that means up in your brain, those brain cells are going, whoa, wait a minute, this is new. I'll get this. And pretty soon they'll start firing. When you get that firing, the body will respond. It's the same thing when we talk about what are you saying in your head to have your body follow that. What is that? You've got to be telling it, I got this. There is no mountain big enough that I can't handle. I can climb that mountain. No one else and what their perspective of you counts. It isn't about somebody else. It's all about you, and it's all within you on the inside. It's all right here, okay? So mind, body, putting it together equals a healthy body. So today, instead of me talking about I want a buns of steel or abs of steel or arms of steel or thighs of steel, I want a body of health. Because if my body is healthy, I know that I am fit. Now, external and internal. Remember we said, is it when I look good I feel good, or is it when I feel good I look good? If you could unzip your body and take a look on the inside, what does that body look like? Would they go, wow, Jim, look at that liver. It is looking really good. Hey, Sally, look at that heart and your lungs. Wow, you've been working out. You're taking care of your internal organs. And a lot of times people will end up not doing anything until the body just can't take it anymore. Because your body will tell you, hello, I can't do this anymore. You're not taking care of me. So I've run out of my own personal fuel. I need your help here. And a lot of times it can be too late, but it's never too late to start getting your body back in shape. Okay, so if you're just doing nutrition and losing weight, you're changing the scale, you can be skinny fat. But if you are moving your body and working those muscles, then we know that you're getting healthier. And it's those types of things that will happen later in life. If you're not strong and you make one bad fall, it can be all over. Don't you want to be the one that goes, I don't need help with that cart. I don't need help getting up. I can push myself right up using my own arms. I want to share a story of one of my clients. She had come to me and I'm looking at her going, you're in great shape. Look, you've got pretty much a mesomorph body down here. She was an ectomorph upper. We'll talk about body types later, which means she doesn't have a whole lot of strength for upper body. And she said, yeah, I actually walk about 4 miles a day. Okay, she's getting plenty of lower body exercise. But she said, I was in Florida. I was with my sister and we went out kayaking. And all of a sudden it tipped over and I could not pull myself back up to get on the kayak. She goes, I could kick my legs and kick, but I did not have the strength to pull myself back up to get on the kayak. She goes, that scared me. I know that I need to build up my upper body strength. And most women are weak for upper body, but it doesn't take much. The minute you start doing something for your body goes, whoa, okay, she's doing it. I got this. I'm right there with you. But you can't do it for a few days and go, uh-oh, well, I got really sore and I didn't want to continue. Well, there is a little bit of discomfort, I'll call it, when you're doing certain things. But pretty soon your muscles catch on and they go, I got it. We did this yesterday. Okay, I can do it again. I can do it again. And they can do more and a little more and a little more. So I'll leave you with this for your workout is just start with some push-ups, okay? If you're doing them on the ground, if you're doing them on a chair, on the wall, just see what you can do in 30 seconds. Keep doing it for a week. And each time, see if you can do just one more, and just one more, because you will increase. Now, my client that I told you the story about, so we did an assessment to see how much push-ups she could do. So I always run you through an assessment. And so we do push-ups, we do sit-ups, we do planks, we do wall squats and step-ups. So on her push-ups, she couldn't do one full push-up. She goes, can I do them? Actually, she said, can I do girl push-ups? And I'm like, what is a girl push-up? Oh, you mean on your knee? That's a modification. Okay, on your knees. She could only do 3 of those push-ups. I'm happy to tell you, a year later, she is doing 35 straight on push-ups now. So now she's well balanced with both upper body and lower body. So you see, it doesn't take much. It takes consistency and to keep moving. You take care of your body will take care of you. That's how it works. All right, you guys, thank you so much for listening today. I am grateful to be a part of the Mind Motion Academy. And if you'd like to learn more about what I do, jump over to the premium page, and I look forward to meeting you.
Chandler Walker focuses on personal growth, communications, and business mastery. These 6 areas include mental health, social health, sleep, nutrition, fitness, and wealth. Karine LeBron is an educator, business coach, scholar, author, and creative artist. As a spiritual path facilitator, Karine is a speaker, leads seminars, retreats, and online courses. Her classes blend empirical science and mystical traditions.
You know, Tamilee, that was some pretty amazing information. I know you've done it all, and for the people that are listening, success leaves clues. I know that I've discovered that in my career is people have already carved the path, so it's called folding time, and certainly our instructors tonight and tomorrow night are gonna allow you to fold time and arrive at your destinations much, much quicker. So next up, we have an individual that is world-renowned Mr. Jim Britt. You know, Jim Britt is an amazing individual because he has traveled the world and shared the stages with the legends in the industry, just like he is. So Jim Britt is an award-winning author of 15 best-selling books and 6 #1 bestsellers. Some of his many titles include Rings of Truth, Do This, Get Rich for Entrepreneurs, Unleashing Your Authentic Power, The Power of Letting Go, Cracking the Rich Code, and others. When you hear Jim Britt and what he's going to share, you're hearing world-class information that others have paid a lot of money for. So grab your pen, grab your notepad, grab your computer, and take some notes. And I'm going to turn it over now to Mr. Jim Britt.
Hi there. You know, first of all, I want to thank you for allowing me to be a part of the Mind Motion Academy and to bring this video to you today, and I appreciate you taking the time to watch it. You know, I've had some life-changing moments for me. I'm sure you have as well. I recall a couple that were very major in my life, and one was I was standing in my kitchen. I was 22 years old, looking out the front window and wondering, what am I going to do? I looked to the left where my driveway was and where my vehicles used to be parked, and both of them had been repossessed. And I looked to the right, I could see just barely my front door, and there was a notice on it from the sheriff that says, "You've got to be out in 5 days." My home had been foreclosed. And I looked around the room that I was in and back in the other rooms, and I had no furniture, just a few sticks that I owned. But the rest of it was, you know, had a lien on it, so they came and picked that up. So I had no furniture. My phone had been disconnected. I had a wife and a child, and I had 15 cents in my pocket. And I'm standing there going, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Am I going to go back and take my old job back at where I worked at the factory? Or, you know, what should I do? And so I'll rewind just a little bit and tell you how I got there. So, you know, I'm not a highly educated person when it comes to formal education. My first job was picking cotton in the central south part of Oklahoma. And I started when I was 6 years old and worked until I was about 12 years old, every cotton picking season, you call it. And I worked hard. And I discovered something there, that hard work doesn't necessarily get you ahead. I mean, yeah, we have to work hard and we have to work smart, but working with your 2 hands, doing physical labor, unless you just love that, and that's fine, but it will get you ahead financially. So my next job was at 17 years old, right after I dropped out of high school in the 10th grade, and I got a job pumping gas. And I always strive to be my best at everything that I was doing. From picking cotton, I always want to beat my yesterday's record of how many pounds I could pick. And in the gas station, I was always racing against the clock to see how fast I could change somebody's oil and filter or fix a flat tire or anything like that. So I was always looking not to be the best, but to be my best. And I'd worked there for about 2 years, I guess, and I didn't know but what I'd worked there the rest of my life. And then one day a guy comes in and he fills up with gas, and I sweep his car out and do all kinds of things and wipe his windshield. And he said, "Young man," he said, "what are you doing working in this gas station?" I said, "Well, it's my job." And he said, "Yeah, and you're pretty darn good at it too." He said, "You should be working at the factory." Well, that was my dream job, actually, working at the factory on the assembly line. But the problem is I didn't have a high school diploma. And he said, "Look, I can get you in there." So long story short, I went to work in this factory. I was wiring telephone switchboards on an assembly type basis. And I kind of like my job. I'm working inside now, making a little bit more per hour, but not working as many hours per week. So about the same amount of money, but I'm working inside. And I'd always strive to be my best there. And they rated you on an efficiency rating. If you drop below 85% efficiency for a job that you had to do, they gave you a certain amount of time to do it, then you could get fired. But my best month was 457%. So I was doing the job of 4.57 people, but not getting paid anymore for it. And one night, I was just about midnight, and I got off at 12:30 a.m. And the next night was my night off. And a fellow comes by my area where I worked, and he'd been there maybe once or twice, and I'd spoken to him, and he stopped for a minute, and he said, "Hey, Jim," he said, "you going to work in this factory the rest of your life?" I'm going, "Man, I don't know, maybe." And I really didn't know. And he said, "Why don't you come go with me to this meeting tomorrow night?" He said, "I think it's something we could do to make some extra money." I said, "Well, what is it?" And he said, "I don't know. They just told me to bring somebody with me." I said, "Well, I'm not your guy." And he said, "Oh, come on, man." And he started begging me to go with him. He said, "I need to take somebody with me." He said, "I'll tell you what, if you go, I'll buy the beer afterwards." And I said, "What time is the meeting?" So I went for the beer, not for the meeting. But little did I know that my life was about to change. And it was a direct sales company. I watched this presentation all the way through, and about halfway through, I'm going, I think I can do this. And then a little later in it, I'm thinking, I can do this. And by the end of the meeting, I'm saying, I am going to do this, and I'm going to get rich doing it. And I didn't even know what rich was. I mean, if it was more than $1,000 a month would be rich to me, because I was taking home maybe $300 a month at that time. So the big problem was it cost $4,000 to get started. But I committed. I said, I'm in, I'm going to do this. So I went to my bank, first of all, where I had $9 on deposit, and tried to borrow $4,000, and he wouldn't loan it to me. And I went to 23 banks and loan companies before I found somebody to loan me the money. 23. And number 23 did it. So I got started. And the training I got was from actually somebody from the company. He said, well, your job, Jim, is talking to people. He said, if you talk a little, you're going to earn a little. If you talk a lot, you'll earn a lot. And I said, well, how much is a lot? He said, 10 a day. I said, cool, I'll do 10 a day. So I quit my job at the factory, went full time at this, didn't have any money in the bank to back me up. And my target was 10 a day, which I did for the next 12 months. So 12 months, almost to the day, I'd talked to that many people. I'd talked to 3,650 plus people. And guess how many customers I got? One. I got one customer out of 3,650, and the rest of them told me no. So there I was, standing in my kitchen, trying to figure out what the heck I'm going to do, because I'd lost everything. I didn't know what to do. There was one of the fellows at the one of the distributors, like I was, and he was fairly successful. He said, Jim, you just got to keep practicing, because practice makes perfect. Just keep doing what you're doing. The problem was I was practicing the wrong thing, and I was perfecting the wrong thing. So true, practice does make perfect, but make sure you're practicing what's going to take you in the direction you want to go. So here I am standing there in my kitchen, not knowing what I'm going to do next. I mean, I have no idea what to do next. But the one thing that I decided right then and there, after about 15 seconds of contemplation, I'm not going back to take my old job back. I'm going to make this thing work. And I do believe that commitment, that level of decision making that I did that a year before, and at that moment, and multiple times in between when I doubted myself and doubted what was going to happen or doubted if I could make it, I kept true to that decision. And in the next 5 days, I had to be out of my house. The next 5 days, I had another opportunity presented to me that paid me $300 a week, which was 4 times what I was earning at the factory, roughly. It provided me with a vehicle, which I didn't have. It provided me with a 3-bedroom furnished apartment. And it provided me with an opportunity that was pretty unbelievable, that over the next 12 months earned me just over $500,000. And the other miracle that took place was somebody knocked on my door. About 2 days after that, I was standing in my kitchen. And it was somebody from the company, one of the executives. And he said, I understand you're a hard worker, but you're not making any money. He said, can we talk? And we sat in my floor for 2 hours, and he taught me the things I was doing wrong and what I needed to be doing. And in fact, one little tip, if you're in sales, he asked me, he said, how do you know if you have a viable prospect? And I said, man, I don't know. I guess if they buy from you. He said, no. He said, how do you know if they're even a potential to buy from you? And I said, I don't know. He said, obviously you don't. So he said, you have to arrive at 3 destinations. Number 1, do they have a pain or a problem? He said, if they don't, you don't have a prospect. Number 2 is, do they want to solve it? Because some people don't. And number 3 is, can you solve it? And he said, if you don't have all of those 3 in alignment, he says, you don't have a prospect. I said, well, how do you know if you have them in alignment? He said, that's a good question. He said, it's not out there flapping your jaws like you've been doing for the past 12 months. He said, you need to ask questions and listen. And I said, what kind of questions? He said, it doesn't matter. I'm going, what? You know, it confused me. He said, no, think about it. You're at a party. You're at a wedding. You're in a church. You're in a coffee shop, on an airplane. It doesn't matter where you're meeting people all the time. And he said, let's say you met somebody in a coffee shop. You're sitting next to him at the counter having a cup of coffee. And you want to start a conversation. You could just turn to him and say, hi, how are you today? Not hi, but hi, how are you? Because that elicits a response. And they'll say, I'm fine, how are you? Well, I'm doing great. Do you live around here or do you work around here? You start the conversation with anything you know, if you're at a party, at a wedding, are you here for the bride or the groom? You start a conversation. And he said, if you really are intent on listening to every single thing that they say and really absorbing it, he said, then I want you to apply something. He said, if you do this the rest of your life, you'll never lack for money, you'll never lack for friends, and you'll build a network one day worldwide. And he said, here it is. Every time you meet somebody, it doesn't matter who they are, it's not about business, it's not about selling something. He said it could be, but it's not necessarily. Every time you meet somebody, always be thinking, what can I do to help this person? And then ask questions and listen. Be the one that listens, not the one that talks. And he said, you'll build a huge business. And I've taken that into account for my entire year. So that was the second miracle. The first one was the opportunity that was presented to me. The second one was that he straightened me out and my other business took off. Now the other business I mentioned that was pretty unbelievable that I got presented to me came from the one customer that I got over that last year. So that last year made me $500,000 over the next year because I got one customer. And people are all down and out because they talk to 3 or 4 people and nobody buys. I mean, you got to move. You got to keep moving forward. That's true success. If something doesn't work, you don't stop. You maybe change course a little bit. It took me a year to change course, but somebody taught me how to do it. But you change course a little bit and you keep moving forward. If something works, you just keep moving forward. That's the real key to success. That's real success. You never arrive at success. It's just your life as you go along. You don't let things get you down. And yeah, I had times when it was tough. I had times when I didn't know how to buy food for the family, and it just kind of like materialized from places. It was weird because I'd made that firm decision. So let me kind of fill you in on some things that I learned. not just then, but since then as well. I interviewed 12 mega millionaires a few years ago. Took a camera crew around the country and interviewed 12 people, and they all had to have started with nothing and have a net worth of at least 200 million. And one of them was a billionaire. One was worth about $500 million. So I took the camera crew around the country and interviewed these people. And about the third interview, when it was over, I'm going, all three of these people had pretty much the same traits in common. The same traits in common. I thought, that's interesting. And then as I kept interviewing, they may have had a different way of expressing those traits, but they were still the same traits. And as I went through the interviews, every single one of them had those same traits in common. So I looked at my own life. I looked at where I started and where I am today, or where I was then. And I looked at it using those traits and comparing it to my life, and realized that I had those traits. It's pretty amazing. So what I want to share with you is what I distilled down into a few traits that if you apply these, you cannot not be successful. But you have to apply these. If you're leaving something out, it could greatly take away from your success and your financial status and all the things that you want to accomplish in your life. But these apply to any and everything in your life. If you want to lose weight, if you want to make more money, if you want to start a business, if you want to have a better relationship, if whatever, these traits are critical. Here's number one. They're pretty simple, by the way. Number one is a desire to change. Whether you have a desire to lose some weight, or and you wonder too, based on that. Every year I see on New Year's, I see New Year's resolutions of somebody wanting to lose weight. This year I'm going to lose 40 pounds, or this year I'm going to lose 80 pounds, or whatever it is. But then what you find of all of those people that desire to lose weight, that I'd give them a month, and they're back eating potato chips with the remote, watching TV. No exercise, no diet program, no eating properly, none of that stuff. They go right back to their old ways. They have a desire, but they don't take it to the next step. You see, when I was picking cotton, when I was working in the gas station, when I was working in the factory, I had a desire to be more. I had a desire to have more, to become more, to be a better person, to do all of those things that we all strive to accomplish. I had a desire. But until that night that I went to that meeting, I'd never applied the second trait, and that's a decision. You see, all of the goal setting in the world doesn't work unless it's backed up by a firm decision that doesn't allow for anything less than accomplishing that. Nothing less will do. You'll have to have that commitment of, I will do no less than whatever it takes to accomplish what I've decided to accomplish. Because a decision, it's a mindset, and it determines how you show up to the world. And it determines how the world shows up to support you. That is so critical. A decision determines who you are, what you're projecting out to the world, how the world views you, how the people that you come in contact with view you. If you're giving something a try, you're going to run into people, let's say you're in sales, and you're just kind of giving it a try to see if it's going to work for you or not. Well, you're going to run into people that's going to understand that you're giving it a try, and it's not going to work for you because that's the energy you're putting out to the world. But here's the problem. I discovered this about 35 years ago. We all have programs. We're programmed basically, almost like a robot in some ways. We still have, free will and imagination and all of those things, but we're programmed. from birth. We learn how to walk, we learn how to talk, we learn how to ride a tricycle, we learn how to run down the street, we learn how to eventually ride a bicycle and drive a car and all of those things. And we have a lot of little tiny, what you would consider insignificant programs that become second nature to us. In fact, all of those programs do. But we have some programs like, which leg do you put your pants on? Which goes in your pants first? And it's the same way every single time, I guarantee it. Or which hand do you pick up your toothbrush with to brush your teeth? It's the same hand every time. You don't switch it off every other day and say, well, I think I'll use my left hand or my right hand, or I'll do it this way or that way. No, we do it the same every single day. And I'm sure there's hundreds of programs like that. And you don't have to go get in your car and say, well, how do I drive this thing? You've already been programmed to drive it. Now, you can be halfway conscious when you're driving down the road, but at the same time, you don't have to relearn all that stuff. It's second nature to you. And if you look back on your life, you don't remember your whole life. But I bet you if I said, get in touch with something incredible that happened to you. Something incredible. Maybe it was the birth of your first child, or you got married, or you got this or that. Something incredible. Everybody can think back to something like that. In fact, we could probably come up with, dozens and maybe 100 different times that we felt incredible. And you know why you remember that? Because you've got an energy, you've got an emotion attached to that experience. And that's what brings it up. Otherwise, it's a memory someplace back in the deep channels of your subconscious that you don't remember because there is no emotion attached to it. There's no reason to bring it up. So I looked at that and I'm wondering, why do people not follow through with what they say they're going to do? That was my big question. And the answer was right there. The more I looked at it, I thought, well, wait a minute. If the positive side is there, in our subconscious that we bring up with those emotions, I said, then also the negative side is. So the negative side is maybe experiences you've had, something somebody did to you or didn't do for you, or you lost money, or you broke up in a marriage, or, whatever. Those things are events that we attach these emotional attachment to. And that's why we can remember them so quickly. If I say, go back to the earliest time in your life that you can remember that something really devastating happened to you. And I've asked 1,000 people at a time, and every one of them get it within split seconds. And you probably already gone there. So we have those things, and that's what keeps us stuck. We're aware that we have the problem. We're aware that maybe we haven't been able to survive financially all of our lives. We've had to struggle. So we're aware of that. We're aware that we're in the 7th abusive relationship. We're aware of it, but that doesn't do anything. It just tells you have a problem. Self-awareness is just looking at yourself and say, yeah, I got a problem. But that doesn't change anything, because now you're going to go out and try to change it, but you still got the program in place. So it's all about changing that program. And the firm decision is what's going to lead you away from that program, because it may take a little while. It may be quick. But all I'm saying, man, is the decision is going to determine how you show up to the world. So you got to make that firm. You build your goals after the decision. The goals are the incremental steps to getting to the decision anyway. And the decision is the foundation for everything. So you've got to do that. And I have some other ways that I work with people on to help them diffuse that emotional energy around that negative experience, and very, very quickly to dissolve it, so that you still may have a memory of it if you really searched for it, but you don't have that emotional attachment to it any longer. So it no longer affects your life. In other words, if you're trying and failing and trying and failing, every time you try and fail, it strengthens one of those programs. So I'm saying, if that's happening to you, start with that decision. Then the third thing is you've got to take bold action. You've got to really, step out there and take action. I mean, was it hard for me when I talked to 3,650 people and one told me yes? It was really hard. It was really hard. I had times when I wanted to quit. Nobody goes through that kind of rejection. I mean, today, you know, if somebody would even go out and make contact after 4 or 5 or 10 people that said no, they're going, oh, this doesn't work. I just kept going because I knew I was going to make it happen. And bold action means you do things that other people are not willing to do. The unsuccessful are not willing to do these things. So whatever that action is, you just perfect it. You keep doing it, and you put yourself in the spotlight, and you take action. And there's so many people that one of my friends, Jim Lutz, says, you know, that people are getting ready to get going. And there's no reason for that. Yeah, you have to, maybe you've got a plan, maybe you've got to put things together, but take action now is the critical point. Take it now and put things together as you go along. Don't wait, because by the time you wait, getting ready to get going, you're probably going to forget the decision that you made. So number 3, take bold action. Number 4 is you're going to experience some pain of changing. Because the you that you are now can't have the things that you want. You've got to change. You've got to become somebody different. And when you become somebody different, you're going to go through some pain of changing. I guarantee that. Was it painful for me to go out and talk to people? Oh my gosh. Every day, man, when I would get up, I'm going, oh man, I got to go find 10 people. This is painful. It was painful. But you know what? People ask me today, says, how do you handle rejection, Jim? I'm going, well, I did that when I was 22 years old. I don't have to do that anymore. I handled more than anybody probably would ever go through. So, you know, and I've been down. People say, what happens when you get down? I'm going, I was down once, and there's nothing down there. So I don't go there. That's how I don't get down. I just don't go there. And I'll give you a little point here in just a minute on how not to go there. But you've got to be willing to experience some pain of changing, because every life level, every income level requires a different you. Relationship level requires a different you. So you got to become somebody different, and you got to be willing to go through the pain of changing to get there. Number 5, I was asked on a panel one time, the number one thing that has made the most difference in my life that I've learned over the years. And without any hesitation, I said, the ability to let go. The ability to let go. What do you let go of? Well, you let go of fear and doubts and worry and trying to control things over which you have no control. In fact, if you stop doing that, trying to control things over which you have no control, you pretty much eliminate all stress in your life. Think about it. Most all stress comes from trying to control things over which you have no control. And I don't want you to believe me. Just try it one time and see what happens. It puts you back into a positive state where your energy is used in the right places instead of trying to control something that's beyond your control. And fear is really the friction in our thought process. It's probably the only friction. And, you know, worry is based in fear. Doubt, is based in fear. Anger is based in fear. There's all kinds of fears, but none of them are real. is the thing. And somebody challenged me on that just the other day. They said, "Well, what if a bear or a lion or something is chasing you through the woods? Isn't that real?" I said, "Well, it's real that they're chasing you through the woods, but the fear's not real. You're making it up." He said, "No, you don't understand. It's chasing me." I said, "Yeah, and you're making up in your mind what's going to happen if it catches you, because it hasn't caught you yet, and you're making up what's going to happen. So it's not real. It's made up." Now, I'd probably run faster too if a lion or a bear was chasing me through the woods, but don't climb a tree, whatever you do. But you know what I mean. The fear is not real. It's a made-up story of something that might happen. Same way with worry. It's all, just don't go there is all I'm saying. It's not going to take you anywhere. So the ability to let go. And I have people say, "Well, it's hard to let go." I said, "No, it's not." If I'm carrying, I'll give you a good example. If I'm carrying this piece of paper right here, I'm carrying this piece of paper in my hand right now. Does that mean I have to carry it in my hand for the rest of my life? And the answer is no. I can put it down. I don't have to carry it. And you don't have to carry your fears. You don't have to carry your doubts. You don't have to carry something that happened to you in the past, because it's not happening to you now. But if you bring it into the present, it's more real than it was when it happened. So your ability to let go of those things and live where life takes place, live where the only place action takes place, not in the future, not in the past. It's only right here, right now. That's the only place action takes place. That's the only place life takes place. Because if you're bringing the past into the present, you're destroying the present. If you bring the future into the present, yeah, you want to plan for the future. Maybe I don't. I mean, maybe I got a calendar with an event or something like that. But I don't sit down and say, okay, at this date I'm going to have this, and this date I'm going to have this. I just put my best foot forward every day and keep moving forward. And if I decide one day to write another book, number 16 for me, I'd make that decision, then I'd get after it. And I wouldn't say I'm going to have it done by this time. I would just get on with it and get it done as fast as I can get it done. So number six, and this is really major if you get this. Quite a few years back, probably 30 some years ago, when I discovered the ability to let go. A friend of mine, we're on the phone one day discussing some book that we'd both read and kind of going over some of the details and what certain things meant. And before we hung up, he said, "Hey Jim," he said, "what do you think the word resourceful means?" I'm going, "Man, I don't know." I said, maybe it, using your imagination or being more creative. I said, "Never really thought about it." And he said, "Well, it's just an interesting word." I said, "Yeah, I guess." And we hung up, and off I went and got my car and was driving home from my office. And I kept thinking about the word resourceful, and I couldn't get it out of my brain. It's like somebody says, "Don't think about a pink elephant," and all you can think about is visualizing a pink elephant. Well, all I could think about was that word. So when I got home, we didn't have internet or anything like that. We couldn't Google it. So I picked up the dictionary. I had a pretty good sized dictionary. I open it up and I look up the word resourceful. And resourceful, it's defined as once again full of source. Once again full of source. I thought, wow, that's pretty cool, depending on what you think source is. And so I thought, well, I'll look up the word source. And so I did, and it was defined as where all things originate. Not some things, all things originate in source. I thought, wow, again, depending on what you think source is. So I wasn't satisfied with that definition only. So I decided to continue looking for another definition of source. So I looked. Every time I'd go in a bookstore, I'd say, "Do you have other dictionaries or other versions and things like that?" And I'd look in these dictionaries and couldn't find anything different. And I even tried origin of words. I had one book there on the origin of words. It wasn't even in there. And I was in England, walking a little town called Chester. And I was walking down the street. I looked down this alley, and right there was a building that has a sign on it that said Antique Bookstore. I thought, wow, I'm always intrigued by antique books. And, we have nothing old here in the U.S., so I was intrigued by it because of the history and being in Europe or the UK. And so I walk in the back door, and right away, what did I see? A dictionary about that thick. It was all tattered and torn, and it had a sign on it that said, "Do not open." And I kind of thought that was for the people in the UK, not for me. But I was prepared to buy it if I destroyed it, I guess. I don't even know what the price was on it. But I carefully opened it up to the S's, and I looked up source. And it had some of the same things I'd seen before. But then I'm kind of scrolling down and I see something that said source, love. I went, wow, once again, full of love. Thought, man, that's powerful. And I thought about that for a little while. And I thought, all things originate in love. So the more I thought about it, I thought, when you start something new, like when I started that direct sales business, man, I fell in love with it. I fell in love with what I was going to accomplish. I fell in love with various things about it and what I was learning about myself. I fell in love with it. And when you start a new project and you have passion for it, passion is the expression of love. So you fall in love with what it is you want to accomplish. And your only other option is falling in fear with it. So I thought about that for a while, and I thought, wait a minute, there's a flaw here. There's a little bit of a flaw. If all things originate in love, then where does fear come from? And it took me about 2 minutes. And I thought, oh, it's our ability to create. So we create fear in love. We fall in love with fear. Think about that. That is, when you really think about it, that is powerful. We create fear out of love. So it's really love presenting us with the fear, saying, if you take care of this, you can have more of me. Amazing, huh? When you think about it. So when you go out to accomplish something in your life, fall in love with it. I mean, deeply in love with what it is you want to accomplish, and don't let fear enter in at all. And realizing if it does, you're creating it out of love. You're falling in love with fear. So again, I don't want you to believe me. Just try it and see what happens. Stay connected is key. And to wrap up here, I was in Toronto a few years back, presenting a seminar with another fellow, and during our lunch break, we went out to take a walk, and we walked down Yonge Street, I think it was, kind of a big wide sidewalk, a lot of tourists and people there. We walked out a long ways. I don't know, we were out a few miles, it seemed. And suddenly he looks at his watch and he said, man, we got to get back. He said, it's going to start here in the next 30 minutes or so. And I said, well, good thing is they can't start without us because we're the ones presenting. So he said, yeah, let's go. And I'm 6'4", so I'm walking with pretty big steps, and was almost as tall as I am. So we're going along pretty good gait. And we're stopping occasionally for a red light or something, but mostly we're weaving in and out of tourists and people on the sidewalk, and sometimes not waiting for the red light, just walking on through. And suddenly I felt this presence over my shoulder. And it was like somebody was walking. I could actually smell his breath. And it was like he was walking in step with me, almost in perfect step. But yet it was really close. I mean, like right here. And I was about to turn around and say, hey, buddy, back off a little bit, okay? But just as I started to turn, he said, and God created man. And then he had another voice that came from him, I guess his other personality. He said, yeah, I know that. He said, but then God created woman. And the other voice said, yeah, I know that too. He said, but then God created fruit. And the other voice says, what? He said, what does fruit have to do with anything? And he said, well, in the fruit, there's a seed. And he said, if you plant it, it will grow. And he said, if you don't, it won't. So I want you to think about that, because when you plant a seed in the ground, you have to nurture it. You have to fall in love with the end result that it's going to produce. And you got to keep the weeds out, which is letting go, or chopping out the weeds in the garden, whichever one it may be. But you got to keep the weeds out. You got to nurture it. You got to let it get sunshine. You got to water it. You got to take care of it. And you got to do the same thing with you, you know, with your body, with your mind, is you've got to nurture it. You got to take care of it. So when you plant that seed, it will grow, and when you don't, it won't. So my question is, you know, what do you dream about having in your life? What if you dreamed a love story and you got to play the leading role? How would that story go? How would it go? Fall in love with how it would go. What if you dreamed that you could have anything your heart desired? What would your heart really desire? And what could you fall in love with having? What if you dreamed it rained musical notes? What song would be playing for you? What favorite song would that play out for you? What if you dreamed that your world went silent for the day? What would you do with that quiet time? What if you dreamed that you captured one of life's most precious moments? What would that moment hold for you? So I would say dream big, because it's so much more inspiring to dream big than to dream small. And the only thing keeps us from having all that we want in our lives is what we fall in love with. So fall in love with what you want to accomplish, not what somebody else wants you to accomplish, or not what your fear tells you that you lack, because you don't. You have all that it takes to have anything you want in your life. So thanks for taking the time to view this video. I hope you received at least a couple of nuggets out of it. And I would recommend that the first thing you do, anything that you receive from this, put it into action, because that's what makes it work. Put it into action. Try it, and you'll see that this really does work. So thanks for taking the time, and I'll look forward to catching you on the other side someplace.
Don Fawcett is a radio show host, executive coach, and a best-selling author. He's also a keynote speaker and subject matter expert in leadership, confidence, and development. He's dedicated to pushing people past their limiting beliefs by bridging the gap between their mind and heart for increased success. Doug is an accomplished entrepreneur, musician, producer, and inspirational speaker, having run his own production company for over 10 years, toured the United States as a musician, and a top speaker and trainer for the great Tony Robbins.
Thanks, Jim. And the evening gets more and more excited as we go on. I'm telling you that every time I listen to these people, I feel like I'm leveling up in so many areas, and I get so excited about being here with all of you tonight. So thank you so much, Jim, Britt, for sharing your world-class knowledge with everybody. And next up, we have a woman that has a unique perspective on human design and personal development. Amylee Westervelt is a dream design coach and mindset expert who works predominantly with sensitive and emotionally intelligent entrepreneurs. You know, through her signature programs and coaching, she has assisted in the transformation of thousands of business owners from anxious and unaware to empowered and abundant. So Amylee, it's with great honor and pleasure to have you on night one of Mind Motion Academy's launch. I'll turn it over to you.
Hi, I'm Amylee Westervelt, the Dream Design Coach, and I am so excited to talk to you today about one of my favorite topics, which is the 4 levels of consciousness. But I've got to be honest with you, I didn't always know what the 4 levels of consciousness were, or even why they were important. But the more that I've studied energetics, specifically feminine energetics, the more that I've come to realize just how powerful the 4 levels of consciousness are in helping us create our businesses and our lives. So you may have heard the phrase, maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline. It was a commercial that came out probably in the late 80s, early 90s that I remember from being a little girl. But the thing that was really important about that commercial was that it was all about having something that was unexplainable, something that made someone magnetic, that made their personality that much shinier. And what was that thing? And of course, for the commercial's purpose, they'd like to think that it was their makeup. But the truth is, there really is something that helps people be more magnetic. There is something that seems to be the difference between the people who try so hard and the people who just seem to have all the luck. And I'm here to tell you that that has a lot to do with the 4 levels of consciousness. So like I said, there are 4 levels. I would love to dig into them with you. And I want to give you a word of caution. There are going to be aspects of all of these that you resonate with. Don't let it trigger you. It happens to the best of us. In fact, all of us have aspects of all of these levels at some point or another in our lives. So don't feel called out. Don't feel upset. Know that this is more of an awareness than it is an accusatory conversation. So with that, let's start with the first one. To me consciousness. To me consciousness is the lowest level of consciousness. We also call this victim consciousness. This is where we believe life happens to me. We are taught this by society, that we are an entity and that something happens to us, okay? We also call this employee mindset. Everything comes from outside of us. This is a very disempowering place to be, because what it really comes down to is that it doesn't matter what I do, I don't have any control over my circumstances. This usually follows the formula of I'm X because Y. Well, I'm poor because they don't pay me enough. I'm scared because they don't protect me. I'm not successful because that person is stealing all the clients. Okay, another word for this? Blame shifting. So when we're in to me consciousness, and we've all been there, this is when we are operating from a place of I am powerless, and everything that happens to me comes from outside of me. Okay, so I'm sure a lot of us can relate to this feeling. Now, there are, the titans of industry and things like that have gone throughout history who really kind of encourage this behavior. Because if you can make a person feel like they are completely dependent on the system, well, then you can control what they do, because they know that if they don't do what you say, you're not going to take care of them anymore. In fact, I actually heard a story that Henry Ford said that he wanted to ban the book Think and Grow Rich because it would prevent people from working on his assembly lines. How's that for mind-blowing, right? So like I said, we all spend a little bit of time in to me consciousness, right? When we stub our toe, when we can't find our keys in the morning, why does this always happen to me? Why does it happen? Why doesn't it ever go my way? And what we have to do sometimes is stop and think and say, okay, how can I raise my level of consciousness in this moment? And that's what we do. So the next phase of consciousness, a lot of us are going to recognize. In fact, this is where I lived for a really long time. And this is called by me consciousness. So we moved from if to me is victim and it happens to me, now we're in by me consciousness. And this is the consciousness of doing. If it is to be, it's up to me. So this is the consciousness of feeling like we have to make it happen or it's not going to happen. Okay, we are 100% responsible. It is all on our shoulders. And although this is better than to me consciousness, because we do have an aspect of ownership here, and we certainly are empowered, the problem we run into here is that because we have total and utter responsibility, this is where we see things like burnout and stress and a lack of passion around what we're doing, and just a complete letting go of all the things that made us happy about our business. Okay, so this is where our high achievers, our people pleasers live. If you consider yourself to be highly sensitive or an empath, chances are the by me consciousness is where you're going to be, right? You don't ever want to depend on anyone. You don't ever want to put anyone out. This is where codependency hangs out. It has to be me. We are driven. We are all about personal development. The personal development industry thrives on by me consciousness. It's all about goal setting and positive self-talk and changing habits and hustle. And you hear all the time about hustle culture and about bro marketing. That is in the by me consciousness. So chances are a lot of us are going to relate to this, because this is that place where we can get really stuck. Because if we're always depending on ourselves in order to make things happen, then what that means is that when we can't do it, when we need help, when we get sick, when we falter, when we're just too overwhelmed, or heaven forbid tragedy happens, we are not conditioned to be able to ask for help or to believe that help's ever coming. So it's basically like walking around all the time with dumbbells in your hands and never being allowed to put them down. Eventually those arms are going to atrophy. You're going to start to feel that tension in your neck and up in your head. And you're going to go, you know what? I never want to touch those dumbbells again. So that is the by me consciousness. And like I said, a lot of us hang out here a lot. Especially with my clients, I find that they hang out here all the time. And if you are a person who has a personal development business, you may find that your clients hang out here a lot too. So what comes after that? How do we break free? How do we stay empowered, but also break free of that it has to be me mentality? And the answer is the next level. And that is through me consciousness. Through me consciousness is also known as the flow state. This is where we start to get in touch with our higher power, and we recognize that absolutely everything is for the good. We trust that our needs will get met because we know we are co-creators with Source, God, higher power. We activate our highest potential because we are borrowing from the highest consciousness that we can access. We are borrowing from our highest self. We replace has to be me. We replace that with trust, with knowing that we are divinely supported. We give our logical brain a break. We know that we don't have to know how it happens. We make a choice. We enter into a partnership with the universe, God, Source, higher power, however you like to call it. And we become the creative designer, and the universe becomes the manifester. So we order up from the catalog of the universe what it is that we want, and we trust that it's on its way because we are in a co-creative relationship. We don't have to understand why it's going to happen. We simply have to trust that it is. We also see ourselves in this level of consciousness as a conduit and not a destination. So when it comes to money and profitability and abundance, we see those things going through us rather than stopping at us. Okay, so an example of this is you hear all the time that rich people see money as a seed, right? And poor people see money as a fruit. So rich people believe that money is something to plant and invest and create money trees, right? And poor people see it as a limited commodity that when it's gone, it's gone. I use it up and then it's gone, right? It's just the fruit. You can't plant the fruit. Well, you technically can, but you understand the metaphor. So this is kind of where through me consciousness comes in. Because what it comes down to is that we're recognizing that we are a conduit for money to go through, that we don't worry that it's going away because we're always magnetizing it. We're always bringing it in through our clients, through their energetic investment in our work, through all of the other ways that we magnetize it to ourselves, but we understand that it's coming through us and it's not just staying at us, okay? So remember that through me consciousness is about this is happening through me, okay? It's not happening because of me. I am a conduit. I am a channel for the work that higher power, source, God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, is here to provide. So hanging out in through me consciousness sounds pretty awesome. And to be honest, I think that if 90% of us, if we could get 90% of us there, the world would be a very, very different place. But there is actually one last level of consciousness, and that is as me consciousness, or oneness. This is where we finally understand that we are not co-creators with the universe. No, we are the universe. We feel connection to that oneness. We know that everything that is happening is for the good, that we are designing every aspect of our experience and the experiences of those around us. We recognize that we are no longer separate and a conduit, but that we are all one interconnected being. We have a deep, deep compassion for living things, for creatures, for things that are alive and things that have life in them. Everything just is. We recognize that existence and reality are subjective. We release the judgment. We no longer look at others as other. We see ourselves. We even look at our enemies and the people that we can't stand, and we recognize that we're actually examining aspects of our own selves. We release attachment. We don't necessarily have to worry about what the thing is that's going to get us to the feeling. We're really just interested in the feeling. And this is where we find true inner peace. This is where we accept our infinite power to design our lives and the entire world. So through these 4 levels of consciousness, like I said, we vacillate between them all the time. We have moments of to me, we have moments of by me, we have moments of through me, and some of us have even experienced moments of as me. But the takeaway here is that at any time, we are in a position to raise our level of consciousness. We can choose to look at any situation with a different lens. We can choose to look at it at the higher self level. So for example, if you are doing something and you're driving along and you get a flat tire, in to me consciousness, you might say, oh, I always drive over nails. This happens to me all the time. Okay. If you're in by me consciousness, you go, well, that's all right. I've got a jack. I've got a spare tire. I can fix this. No problem. If you're in through me consciousness, you say, wow, there must be something that I was going to go and run over that was even worse. Or I guess I wasn't meant to be in that place at that time. And so I was protected by staying here and fixing this tire. And with as me consciousness, you don't even see the car or the tire. You're just absorbing the moment and recognizing that it isn't good or bad. It just is. Now, I recognize that this is not always going to be an easy thing, and that some certain circumstances are going to be easier for you to apply the levels of consciousness to than others. What I encourage you to do, though, is to give yourself a moment whenever you are doing this process to let the emotions pass before you then go and try to elevate the consciousness, okay? So if you're upset, let yourself be upset. If you're angry, let yourself be angry. And then once you're done with whatever the emotion is and you allow that to move through your body, that's when you get to turn around and say, okay, how can I look at this from my next highest self? So going back to our original example, maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline, right? What is it about a person? What is that magnetism that makes us say, that's my person, that's my coach, that's my mentor? The answer is the level of consciousness they're operating at. Because here's the thing, if you're operating in to me consciousness, nobody's going to want to follow you because you don't even know where you're going. If you're operating in by me consciousness, you're going to create a reflection to that person that says, if I work with them, I'm just going to end up having to work all the time and I don't see a way out. If you are in through me consciousness, you are going to create a magnetism and a glowing and an incredible attraction that someone is going to be like, I don't even know what it is that she has or what he does, but I know that I need it. Because here's the thing, and this is $1 million advice, so you're welcome. People don't buy what you do. And sorry, Simon Sinek, they don't even buy why you do it. People buy how you feel. So if you can feel into your highest vibration, if you can glow with every fiber of your being and raise that consciousness, you will be absolutely flabbergasted at the level of magnetism that you are able to have, not by doing, not by needing, but simply by existing. So thank you so much for taking the time to listen to my presentation. If you liked what I had to say and you want to hear more, I have a whole section on the website of my premium content you're more than welcome to check out. Thanks so much for being here. Thank you to Mind Motion Academy for having me, and I look forward to speaking with you guys real soon.
Eric has helped people lose weight, improve their marriage, make more money, learn to sell, and to start their own businesses. He's helped people realize what they're truly capable of, and he's helped them set themselves free from these invisible shackles. Erna Mary is a business coach and NLP practitioner from Germany. Her area of expertise is to help people transform their skills and expertise without being overwhelmed or confused. Erna's personal mission is to help people transform their lives and scale their businesses to the next level so that they can live their life full of abundance.
Amylee, thank you so much. You have one of the most unique perspectives in the personal development industry, and I know why thousands of people now have sought you out. So we have an individual coming up next, and it's going to teach you how to get rid of your excuses. Before I do that, though, I want to again reiterate a very special offer that we have for all of you watching this right now, and that is when you subscribe to Mind Motion Academy, your subscription will never go up as long as you stay subscribed for the life of your involvement. We will never raise that for the life of your involvement, and we want to do something else for you as well. As I mentioned, what we want to do is give you a $500 Mind Masterpiece course. This is the same course used by celebrities, elite entrepreneurs, elite athletes worldwide for many years, and we want to give it to you as a gift from us at Mind Motion Academy, simply for subscribing this evening. So hit that button, go down to the chat and hit that link and subscribe now, and we will get that right out to you. So it keeps going and it gets better. So next up is Alex Terranova. And Alex is dubbed the Anti-Excuses Coach by Yahoo Finance and is a professional and personally certified business and performance coach and best-selling author. You know, Alex works with successful and strong leaders, rebellious innovators, and powerful teams who are ready to boldly declare what they want, and most importantly, using his strategies, they go after it. So Alex, it's an honor and a pleasure to have you on the platform and share your wisdom tonight, and I will turn the microphone over to you.
I want to tell you a story about a dog, not my dog. One day while being walked near a carnival, it got off its leash and it ran into a carnival attraction filled with mirrors. And as you might suspect, The walls, the ceilings, the doors, and even the floors were made of mirrors. The dog, seeing his reflections, froze in surprise in the middle of the room. He could see a whole pack of dogs surrounding him from all sides, above and below. The dog bared his teeth and barked, and all the reflections did the exact same thing back. It frightened the dog, so it barked frantically. The dog's reflections intimidated it, which only increased the barking and the aggressive response in the dog and in the mirrors. So the dog barked even harder, but the echo was just magnified. The dog tossed from one side to another while his reflections tossed around, snapping their teeth. And the following day, the dog's owner found the miserable, lifeless dog surrounded by thousands of reflections of the lifeless dog. Hi, I'm Alex Terranova, and I don't know why I told you that story. I'm kidding. We're gonna come back to it. I'm a personal and professional performance coach, author, podcast host, and talent manager. And I support successful people, athletes, rock stars, business owners, and 6- and 7-figure earners to create thriving, loving, and fulfilling lives, relationships, and businesses through integrity, bold commitment, leadership, effective communication, and to enjoy the journey of their lives. Because far too many of us, in pursuit of success and achievement, end up worn out, tired, overworked, stressed out, battling with life, fighting with others, and dealing with drama and chaos. And the only way out of this loop is to look in the mirror and to start making changes from within. But we're here to talk about empowerment and purpose. Hi, I'm Alex Terranova, and I don't know why I told you that story. I'm kidding, obviously. We're gonna come back to it. I'm a personal and professional performance coach. I'm an author, I'm a podcast host, and a talent manager. I support successful people, athletes, rock stars, business owners, and 6- and 7-figure earners to create thriving, loving, and fulfilling lives, relationships, and businesses through integrity, bold commitment, leadership, effective communication, and to enjoy the journey of their lives. Because far too many of us in pursuit of success and achievement end up worn out, tired, overworked, stressed out, battling with life, fighting with others, and dealing with drama or chaos. The only way out of this loop is to look in the mirror and start making changes from within. We're here to talk about empowerment and purpose. But empowerment and purpose are worthless phrases that mean nothing if when you look in the mirror, you aren't clear on who you are, who you show up as, where you get triggered or challenged, and how you respond to adversity. So what makes someone empowered? Is it money, fame, happiness, joy? Maybe it's impact or pleasure or peace. Could it be satisfaction or self-love, confidence? I could go on, because it could be any of these things, and so many others, or none of them at all. So what does it mean? How does one become empowered? And lastly, how does that intertwine? So the dictionary defines empowerment as authority or power given to someone to do something, and the process of becoming stronger and more confident, especially in controlling one's life. So to feel empowered or be empowered would mean that you would have to determine what matters to you in your life and what success in that area looks like. But how can you define what matters to you in your life or what success in that area looks like if you aren't clear on your purpose? I think we have to start with purpose. What is your purpose? How does one even define or discover their purpose? Do we even have a purpose? I know that having a purpose is essential for having a great life. I mean, have a purpose because purpose communication provides direction, the value, their lives, need,
So
important drive and focus, to the exact same place where love and desire are born. I'm a personal and there's tons of people who can tell you they'll help you find your purpose. Many more have a tool or exercise to show you your purpose. Where you get triggered. Well, that's great, and if it works, that's even better. However, I know, and I think you know, that in this life, we have no sure answers. We don't know why we're here. We have a lot of ideas. In many spheres of personal growth and spirituality, it's often even posed that life is essentially meaningless. And as humans, it's our job to create and apply meaning that we desire. Like no IKEA instruction booklet came with you upon your birth. And you definitely don't have printed your purpose on the bottom of your feet or in your DNA. So purpose, I propose, is self-selected. A choice and a path that is maintained and established, practiced and guided through discipline, desire, and commitment. Purpose is the overall meaning we desire to give our life. Think about that. Your purpose is simply the overall meaning you give your life. You might call it the theme of your life. Maybe it's your North Star. Or maybe your most significant commitment. And your purpose is also your choice. And because it's your choice, it's your responsibility. Your responsibility to own it, to understand it, to serve it, to protect it, and to act in service of it. To speak to it and to show up loyal to it over and over again. To make your life, your relationships, and your businesses about it. For a lot of us, this is terrifying. If it's ours, then we're responsible for self-selecting it and taking ownership of it in its entirety. I would like you to think about this. Is there something in your life that matters to you so much that you would choose it above everything else, moment to moment, day to day, week to week, year to year, and over a lifetime? Some of you might have instantly thought about your loved ones, your children, your parents, maybe even your pets. Some of you thought about your faith. Others might have thought about an art or a creative venture that you love. Perhaps it was more altruistic, a cause, a movement, or to be in service of others came to mind. Ultimately, your purpose is your choice, but not a choice that you make one time. It's a choice that you make repeatedly every single day. It's a commitment that speaks volumes about who you are and what your life is about. And your purpose can change. When you heard me say that, notice, did it feel like a relief for you? Did it feel like an escape? Those of you who find relief in it, consider that everything in life grows, changes, and evolves. Your purpose as a child is likely to have fun and play. Maybe it's to learn or become great at an art or a sport. And you might discover and choose your purpose in your 30s or in your 20s is vastly different from what it becomes as you mature with age. So purpose does shift, adapt, evolve, and it might change as we do. It's something we need to be consistently in a relationship with. If we lose our way, if we find ourselves lost, stuck, we likely have lost connection. In growing out of our purpose or seeing it evolve or change, we likely are in a relationship with it. If we choose a new direction with focus and intention, that keeps us from simply altering our purpose based on our circumstances. For those that see purpose changing as a potential escape, consider you never really held your purpose as your purpose. It was never a powerful choice or a commitment, but a choice in the moment, maybe a feeling, something that was based on convenience, maybe what your family or society told you it should be. Perhaps it was created out of the excitement or the possibility of what felt good, looked good. Real commitment is built with integrity, and often with the depth or practicality of reason that allows it to evolve when things change or circumstances get challenging, and yet not have it be abandoned entirely. Sometimes as we change, we also see our purposes changed. However, if it changes without intention, we also know it was never our purpose, just something we worked with for a while. Purpose chosen and created with integrity might evolve or shift over time. It might even change with significant life evolutions, but these changes come from what we might call an empowered place. A purpose that shifts due to circumstances or feeling different in a moment. So now let's look at what living with empowered purpose means. Empowerment is about being intentional, creating clear commitments, and cultivating an alignment of thought, speech, and actions in service of the desires you wish to experience. You could make the case that these 4 pillars could be used to encourage anything. So to become empowered around your purpose, you're gonna need dominion over the following 4 things. 1, your intention. 2, creating clear commitments. 3, cultivating integrity. This is the thought, the speech, and the actions aligning. And 4, your desired experience. Now let's break each of these down. Your intention speaks to the overall destination. What is the goal? A purpose without a bigger why likely won't survive the longevity of the journey. Your intention points you in the direction. Suppose your purpose is creating innovation that forever alters the human experience of space travel. You know, like if you're Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or some other billionaire, because we totally can relate to them, right? A purpose like that gives us a pretty clear vision of how the impact on your life might look. Suppose your intention is peace, freedom, and love for all humankind. This will look vastly different from someone concerned with innovation and space travel. This might sound obvious and simple, but the degree to which you create intention with laser focus sets you up for a narrow guided path or a much wider, looser channel. The narrow or more focused purpose provides stability and clarity. And at the same time, the more wide open avenue allows for one to have deviations, which at times can become avenues for distractions or even opportunities. The second, creating clear commitments becomes the soul of your purpose. If your purpose is service, and on a grander scale, you see this as supporting marginalized people with improved quality of life and access to food, shelter, air, water, education, and life opportunities, your commitments, or the commitments, I should say, that you create around your daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly habits, processes, accountabilities, duties, and behaviors become extraordinarily valuable. Simply speaking, if you have a personal commitment to health or well-being, everything that you eat impacts your commitment. The air that you breathe, the water you drink, the time you wake up and go to bed, the quality of the sleep you create, the exercise you get, and the stress you hold and process impacts your commitment. All of your choices, from where to live and how to live, impact your commitment. Have you ever stopped to think about how all of your choices impact your purpose? Most of us don't. When our purpose isn't fully empowered, we are usually way more distracted by life, our circumstances, and our problems. But when we create an empowered purpose, our commitments must align and be supportive, or we're likely gonna feel like we're being barked at incessantly by dogs in a mirror. Our lives will either be acts of service for our purpose or actions that oppose, distract, and deviate us from our purpose. The third is integrity. But what is integrity anyway? It's like an imaginary scale with 3 platforms. One platform holds your thoughts, another your words, and the last platform your actions. But does the scale balance? Do the things you think about, the words you speak, and the actions that you take align? This isn't a moralistic conversation or a good or evil conversation, but more easily put, a conversation about your power. If you're out of integrity, you are leaking energy, focus, power. Your integrity denotes the sturdiness of your being and the force in which you can direct action. If you lack integrity, the power you bring and can wield will fall short or be ineffective. Suppose your purpose is to entertain the masses with humor and jokes and bring lightness and ease to a challenging and cruel world. In that case, your thoughts, your words, and your actions must align to be empowered around humor, play, joy, and fun while keeping the cruel aspects of life out of your space. While you can clearly pursue this goal without your thoughts, words, and actions aligning, It's gonna be like sailing a ship across an ocean with small holes emerging in the hull. If you don't know what a hull is, it's the bottom of the boat. Over time, the small holes will slow the ship, and it's gonna require the ship to expend more energy to run at the exact same speed. And if the holes take on enough water, well, we've all seen Titanic. Your integrity is the blood pumping through the veins of your empowered purpose. Last is your desired experience. What is the point of having a purpose, knowing the direction you desire it to flow in, being committed to the process, keeping yourself in integrity, and finding yourself miserable or unhappy in your life? There's no price tag or value anyone can put on the experience of your life. The experience of your life is all that matters, as it becomes how you feel about your life. Tomorrow never comes, and today is the only day we ever experience. It's all we have. If our todays are filled with
Hello and
frustration,
welcome to
challenges,
this
overwhelm,
generation's
fighting, exhaustion, stress,
Adventure,
suffering, unhappiness,
what does
and
this
pain
mean
for you? Well, for me, it means I choose the desired experience of adventure. While our feelings are consistently shifting, because I think life inherently the overall status of the experience because adventure of this ride called life is that we don't know what's coming next. Have facility over creative. It's a ride, and that's the final piece. Like an Indiana Jones movie. Purpose. Imagining having the first three pieces locked in. Adventure, you know your scary purpose. Adventure, a creative adventure, your intention adventure, is crystal clear. Basically anything. You see the necessary commitment and putting myself in situations and choosing and embracing by creating structures and accountabilities in your life to support your commitment. Because adventure doesn't stress or focus on the outcome. And you bring awareness to your thoughts, words, and actions to keep the integrity of your life strong. And yet, you're stressed out, unhappy, burned out, tired, overworked, overwhelmed, and not actually enjoying the experience of your life. This is actually the problem that I find with most of my clients. They know what they desire in terms of the results, the goal, the vision, and the mission. They can be so clear about what's important to them, their health, their family, money, travel, financial freedom. They usually know or can find out how to accomplish their goals. I do find that integrity does need some clarification, because for most of us, we simply never have been educated on it to the degree that it matches our massive goals and undertakings. Because you see, the integrity of a dinghy is way less important than the integrity of a cruise ship. But most of us allow the desired experience of our journey to fall to the wayside. We allow it to be an afterthought, something we can't control, an output, the result of the first three. We seem to miss that our desired experience, your desired experience, is actually an input. The first input in this whole structure, which I think is created in reverse. Intention, commitment, and integrity are like a solar system without a sun. They're incomplete. There's something missing that provides power, energy, and light. Your desired experience is left out, as it is for many of us in our lives, relationships, and companies. However, suppose we flip it, and we first choose our desired experience, and then we build out from there. In that case, the model becomes more like our solar system, with your desired experience being the sun, which powers your intention, your commitment, and integrity. All the planets gravitate around your desired experience, creating the solar system of the empowered purpose. Your desired experience is where the energy, power, flow, and heartbeat and the soul come from. It's the fuel to this fire that we call our purpose. Your desired experience fans the flames. And what does this mean? It means you need to choose how you want to create and experience your life. The experience of your life is not a byproduct, but a choice you get to make. Think about wild animals. They all have the same purpose from our vantage point. Their goal is basically survival and to reproduce so their species can go on. It's pretty simple. And think about, though, how each species does this in vastly different ways. Elephants are primarily kind. They're feeling animals, they're intelligent, they're peaceful. They roam and they play with their herd and their young. Hyenas stalk. They move in packs looking to eat through killing prey. And lions and bears, well, they don't live with much fear, so they sleep and relax a lot, and then they turn it on and hunt and expend a lot of energy in short bursts. And then we have dogs, right? They lie around, they get excited when we come home, and they basically hope that we will play with them more. And our cats, well, they turn our homes into their jungles. None of these animals get to choose their experience. It just is. But as humans, we do get to choose our experience. We can live lives full of fear or joy, play, adventure, innovation, or curiosity, or love, or creation, or generosity, or leadership. And I could go on and on. And what does this mean for you? Well, for me, it means I choose the desired experience of adventure. Why? Because I think life inherently is adventure. Because adventure denotes that we don't know what's coming next. It's a ride. It's like an Indiana Jones movie. It could be a love adventure, a money-making adventure, a scary adventure, a creative adventure, a fitness adventure, basically anything. I love putting myself in situations and choosing and embracing the adventure that comes with just being present in the experience. Because adventure doesn't stress or focus on the outcome. Adventure realizes that the result is only a small piece of the experience. Adventure means that this moment is what we're here for. So if you choose love as your desired experience, that becomes your lifeblood to your existence. You create from love, you choose from love, you build from love, and you craft your purpose from love. When you find yourself in challenging situations, you evaluate and you move forward from love. Because love pumps through the veins of all you do and who you are. Your job is to create and build an experience of love and feed that to your purpose and to your commitments. Your integrity then has something to hold itself to. So let's look at that list again. One is your intention. 2 is clear commitments. 3 is cultivating integrity. And 4, your desired experience. But let's flip it as we talked about. 1, your desired experience. 2, cultivating integrity. 3, clear commitments. And 4, your intention. My empowered purpose is to add value to every space, person, and experience I'm in. And if I work backwards, my desired experience is an adventure. To embrace creating, building, inspiring, developing, and connecting to this purpose through being in an adventure. Integrity becomes just aligning my thoughts, my words, and my actions to this experience of adventure. Never creating because I have to. Never working or building because someone else said so. Never living enslaved to work or money. That's not adventure. Integrity keeps my thoughts, my words, and my actions in alignment with living an adventure that produces value for situations and others. I choose, enter into, and create commitments to support this. I have commitments around well-being and health, commitments around love and relationships, business commitments, financial commitments, and I believe they all act to support my integrity and to assist in creating my desired experience. And lastly, my intention is to make a difference, to have an impact, and to leave a legacy of value, which will ultimately be created and fulfilled if the first 3 are abided to. My purpose is not a magical random thing. My purpose is a choice. My purpose is empowered because it's chosen from my desired experience with integrity, commitment, and intention. And this, I propose, is a... So while each of us are in different and unique circumstances, and some of us face more challenging realities than others, Each of us does have the ability, even if only for a moment, or on a small scale, to work this structure. Over time, all of us could create lives built upon this model. Lives of empowered purpose, cultivated from desire, integrity, commitment, and intention. See, when I told you the story about the dog in the beginning, it died because its only purpose was survival. So it went out into the world, looking at everything through the lens of, will this impact my ability to survive? And when it found itself surrounded by what appeared to be threats to its purpose, the same thing that it was trying to avoid became its demise. A purpose of survival is based in fear. So everything it sees is based in fear. Most of us, most of the time, live our lives like this too. We've created the ways we see the world by default without intention. We base them on the ways we were raised or the things that have happened to us along this journey of our lives. We often see the world as hard, complex, unrealistic, dangerous, scary, challenging, untrustworthy, frightening, and scarce. And we have therefore created lives that feel like we're swimming upstream against the current. We become soldiers of drama and chaos, fighting ourselves, the world, and our circumstances. And we're burning out, giving up, stressed out, resigned, overwhelmed, exhausted, and fighting and hating each other and dying of diseases. Whatever you put in front of a mirror will be shown right back to you. Your life is that mirror. Shine love, and it will be reflected back. Shine hate and fear, and it will be reflected back. Empowerment and purpose are not created outside of us. They are not created in the money we make, the goals we achieve, the houses we buy, the things we accumulate, the awards we are given, or the boxes we check. Empowerment and purpose is a personal choice, the most important personal choice, based on who you are and what your life is about. So how will you show up and be that person and create that life as often as you can? So when you find yourself with the world reflecting itself back at you, you don't bark, frail, or wither in fear, but you project your empowered purpose so bright, it becomes the only thing visible. Thank you.
Flora has discovered the power of self-improvement as an aid to thrive in the face of the most challenging career and life circumstances. Her purpose is to teach women globally to find and create an intimate relationship with their inner strength and to become powerful and unstoppable as a result. Heather Hakes is a mindset coach, speaker, and the author of Take the Lead. She's been featured in numerous podcasts, published in Thrive Global, and Women Who Empower and Inspire. Heather specializes in helping others get out of their own way by awakening their infinite potential to create their ideal life.
And Alex is in the house big time. Thank you so much, Alex, for sharing that with everybody. And guys, I know you've got pages of notes and these can be life-changing. And I'd like to introduce to you now our next speaker. And this woman has graced the stages around the world. And her name is Katerina Cozias. And Katerina is considered by many to be one of this generation's foremost digital media personalities. Katerina's 5-step signature system allows visionaries, creatives, and entrepreneurs to gain the respect, the visibility, and the national media exposure on a whole new level. When it comes to PR, she is the master of it. So Katerina, I'm gonna turn it over to you and get ready. She's a dynamo, and we look forward to you sharing your knowledge tonight.
Mind Motion Academy is where it's at. Thank you for being here with us today. I know that there is a lot going on in everyone's lives. The world is a really interesting place and has become much more so over the last few years. And today, you're here with us, and I am so very glad. Okay, you might be saying, who are you, lady? All right, my name is Katerina Cozias, and I am known as America's Media Mindset Mentor. I'm going to get into what that means in just a little bit, but first of all, I'd like to ask you a question. So, how many of you watching this right now were born before the year 1980? Hands up if you were born before 1980. Okay, great. How many of you were born after 1980? Put your hand up. All right, for those of you born before 1980, you may remember a little thing called an attention span, okay? Back in the day, you used to run across somebody at the grocery store and you could have a 20-minute conversation, okay? By 1999 and the onset of the internet, our attention spans started to lessen a little bit, and they became about 12 minutes where you and I could get into a conversation, really focus on each other, and actually get somewhere. Well, fast forward to 2020, okay, just pre the shakeup, and the average American, according to statistics, had an attention span of less than 8 seconds. That's right, 8 seconds. The world is moving so fast, and there is so much going on around us. If you are looking to really get your message across in your business, in your life, for all the things that you may be seeking, do you have the tools and the skills to get that message across in 8 seconds? So, one of the things we're going to do during our time together here is I'm going to share with you some of the amazing tips and tricks as they pertain to really securing and solidifying your ability to tap into something I call the 3 C's. That's right, C is in cat. The 3 C's, and the 3 C's are confidence, charisma, and communication. Okay, confidence, charisma, and communication. How many of you are here joining us at Mind Motion Academy? And I am so thrilled to have been invited on as an instructor. How many of you here are seeking to expand not only your business, but your relationships, your success, your finances, right? Put your hand up if you are up for really shaking it up this year. Okay, I absolutely am. So what I am looking to do is really share with you, like I said, some information on the 3 C's, okay? So when people think charisma, I want you to think of the most charismatic person you know. So take a minute, close your eyes, and think about charisma, okay? So when I think about charisma, and when a lot of people think about charisma, they think of that sort of flashy character, right? The guy there with the yellow hat, or the girl with the spiky pink hair. They think of charisma as something that really is loud, right? It's got a loud aesthetic to it. But what I'd like to share with you right now is there's actually a spectrum of charisma. And charisma is something that absolutely is innate to each one of us. And in fact, some of the most powerful and charismatic people on the planet have not been the boisterous, loud ones with the tattoos or the gruff countenance, right? Love them or hate them, love them or hate them. And I'm Canadian by nature, by nurture, was born in Canada, so I'm a little neutral. Love him or hate him, Donald Trump, right? Donald Trump is someone that has something that we call on the top end of the charisma spectrum, a lot of chutzpah, right? A lot of guts, a lot of bring it on kind of energy. And he's loud, and he's standing in his security of what he's saying, and people feel his charisma, again, whether they're magnetized to it or not. On the other end of the scale is something we call quiet benevolence, okay? A quiet grace. Somebody like Gandhi falls into that category, right? This is a man who had no resources, no huge pockets at his fingertips. He was quiet, he was reserved, and yet Gandhi managed to mobilize 200 million people, and change the course of his nation's history, okay? Somebody else on that end of the spectrum that comes to mind is Princess Diana, right? quiet lady, and yet when she walked into a room, every single head turned. The thing with charisma, irrespective of what end of the scale you personally might identify with, charisma, when you peel back the layers, has nothing to do with the exterior. It has everything to do with that interior place of personal magnetism, okay? Personal magnetism. The best part is, charisma doesn't have to be learned. It just is. So charisma is one of my favorites. What we help you do here at Mind Motion Academy is we help you tap that innate charisma so that you can naturally shine your talent, your grace, your brilliance, your voice, your loudness, your quietness. Doesn't matter what it is. Charisma is innate to you. So please remember, when you peel back the layers, your innate personal magnetism, irrespective of what part of that scale you're on, can absolutely shine through. And that's one of the things that I love. Now, how many of you, especially with this onset of the reality we've all been living the last couple of years, have moved a lot of your business and a lot of your personal interactions to an online platform, right? I used to go from having meetings on Zoom with clients and colleagues to then speaking to my grandmother through FaceTime, okay? Just about everything is done via video conference now. And so whether you're looking to really enhance your business from a media perspective, again, I'm known as America's Media Mindset Mentor, and I work with clients to really train them on how to show up in the media, do media training, get on platforms that you only dreamed of as a child, whether that's television, radio, or print, and how to really accelerate not only the business element, but also just the communication element. And so that brings me to the second C, which is communication. Whether you're communicating to a potential investor who has the pockets you're looking for to accelerate your business, or you're simply talking to a friend, a neighbor, your grandmother over the phone, and again, by phone, we all have one of these in our hands. By phone, we're talking, digital platform. Is it possible to accelerate and accentuate your communication? Now, when people think of communication, and why would we want to do that in the first place? Well, great communication will absolutely enhance your ability to influence and persuade people, okay? We all are looking for something, even if it's just looking to share our light so that someone else can have a better day. When you become influential, when you become persuasive, you are able to share and change not only the trajectory of your life and your business and your family, but potentially someone else's. So for me, coupling the 3 C's, again, charisma, confidence, and communication, are absolutely pivotal. And I really enjoy working with people to help do this. So going back to communication for a minute, did you know that only 5%, just 5% of how we communicate is done through our words? That's right, only 5%, which leaves 30% our voice, our tonality, our inflection. I want you to think about something. How many of you men that might be on this call have a wife or a girlfriend? And how many of you, after a little spat, may have gone up to your wife or your girlfriend and said to them, "Hey, honey, are you still mad?" She takes one look at you and goes, "Nope." Now, are you looking at the word no? Or are you looking at the tone of the no, right? In that instant, which of the two is communicating more thoroughly with you? So voice tonality is really, really important. And having the ability to work with inflection, work with things like the power of pause, can really enhance your ability to communicate effectively and accelerate your ability to influence and persuade, which leaves about 50 to 55% of communication, which is nonverbal. That's right. Is your eyebrow raising? And if your eyebrow is raising, what is that signaling to the person on the other side of the table? Would you like to know? Would you like to know what certain arm movements, hand movements, microfacial expressions mean and how they are perceived by somebody on the other side of the screen, on the other side of the negotiating table, on the other side of the breakfast counter while you're pouring the cereal and they want bananas? right? Doesn't matter what you're doing in life, your ability to effectively communicate within that communication orb of verbal, tonality, and nonverbal is huge. Now I want to do a little test with you, and this is something that a lot of people think they grasp, but I'd like to share with you. It's my free tip to you today. So this motion here, right, crossing my arms. How many of you think that this crossing of the arms signals, I'm checking out of the conversation, right? There's something that was just said that I don't like. Right? Hand up if this motion signals to you that the person is kind of done, okay? Yes, that's one way to look at crossing arms. But I want to share something else with you. The crossing of the arms is one of the most difficult to actually read. Why? Because, look at me. Here I am, crossing my arms. Why? Because the chair that I'm sitting on doesn't happen to have an armrest. Okay, so in this case, I'm crossing my arms simply because I have nowhere else to put them. Okay, does that mean I'm checked out of the conversation? Absolutely not. What it means is I have nowhere to place my arms. Okay, how about if I do it again? I'm sitting in a room right now and I'm a little chilly. Okay, so I'm putting my arms together because I'm cold. It has nothing to do with whether I'm enjoying or appreciating the conversation that's being had. So just a heads up, some things are pretty evident, right? If someone's smiling, they're probably on the happier side than not. If someone's frowning or starting to get angry, they're probably on the less happy side than not. If someone is crossing their arms, please realize that that is one of the most neutral body language signals that one can have. So just a little tip from me to you on the importance of recognizing and understanding communication and in specific body language. So charisma, absolutely innate. You have it, whether you feel you have it or not, it's in there. Yes. Communication, so many different ways to manage and magnify your ability to effectively communicate. And when you do, trust me, sky's the limit. Finally, confidence. So, confident people get further in life. They just do. This is a fact. The best thing about confidence is that confidence can be learned. That's right. What makes confidence? Confidence is enhanced when you become more secure in a particular skill set, in a particular habitual pattern with yourself, in a particular acceleration of the truth and alignment of who you really are. When you can get to that place, confidence easily magnifies. What do I mean by that? So you take an Olympic swimmer and you ask him, hey, how confident are you about, diving into the pool and doing a couple of laps? And he'll look at you and say, bring it on. That's my thing. I'm an Olympic swimmer. Why? Because he or she has mastered that particular talent, the talent of diving into a pool and doing a few laps. Now, you ask someone that's never swam before, hey, how about you dive off the end of this little bench here and swim a few laps? And they'll probably go into a flight freeze, right? When you teach them how to swim, when you get them trained on the stroke, on the breathing, on the distance within the pool and the laps, their confidence will increase. And this is the same across any new task or business that you decide to pick up or set up. Over time, your confidence in the ability to work in that field will absolutely accelerate. And when it does, it will shine. When you can couple the 3 C's for your business or for your personal life, you will absolutely catapult yourself past the competition and get to a place where you walk into a room and people's heads turn. Okay, was Brad Pitt any more confident than you? No. He just decided one day it was time to turn it on. So my action to you and my request to you and my question to you today is it time to turn yours on? What I love about Mind Motion and the Academy that we have here is that every single instructor has been where you're at. Every single instructor is probably using a mentor themselves. So how many of you, if you're in the personal development world, or if that's something that is a passion of yours, are familiar with a lady, a huge business empire builder named Lisa Nichols. Put your hand up if you know Lisa Nichols, okay? For those of you who know her, I applaud you because she's worth knowing. For those of you who may not be familiar with Lisa Nichols, and put your hand up if you're not, Lisa is an incredible public speaker and author. She is a lady who went from being a single mom, completely broke, to creating an empire, I think at one time valued over $30 million. And she was being interviewed back in the day. Now I'm going to date myself by sharing this. Back in the day by Oprah Winfrey. This is before the OWN network. This is just when Oprah had her talk show, for those of you who remember. And Oprah was asking her, Lisa, you know, you've had this amazing career success. You've managed to pull yourself out from the ringer. Do you use a mentor? Is there someone you work with? How have you managed to gain this success? And Lisa said, yes. She said, Oprah, I have 2 mentors, in fact. And Oprah went on to say, you know, that's great. And, you know, really remind the audience again that it's always great to work with people who have been where you are, who are going where you want to be. And as the story goes, during the commercial break, Lisa Nichols turned the question around on Oprah. And Lisa said, hey, Oprah, do you have any mentors? And Oprah looked at her and she said, actually, Lisa, I have 4. Lisa got off the Oprah show, left the studio, and apparently as she was walking to her car, she phoned up 2 more mentors. These are women at the top of their game, and they have understood the incredible secret to accelerating your life when you couple with people who have a skill set and a knowledge in the field that you are looking for, be that financial, be that physical, be that in fitness, be that in health, be that in mindset. A lot of my clients work with me because as America's media mindset mentor and a professional in the space of on-camera media development, training, and public relations for almost 20 years, I have recognized that even if my team and I can get you and your business featured in major A-grade publications like the Wall Street Journal, CNN, the Washington Post, all of these large, big eyeball media outlets, if you yourself show up for the appearance, show up for the interview, show up for the TV or radio spot, and don't have the confidence to get your message across in a way that's going to excite the audience, then it's a failed opportunity. If you don't have the ability to really get your grandma excited when you're on the phone with her and you're falling asleep and she's falling asleep, and what use and good is the phone call itself? So why not step into your innate magnetism? Step into your ability to communicate. Look around our platform. I am so thrilled that you're here with us today. We are so excited to be here. And again, as many of our other instructors may have mentioned, there are a ton of resources here at a place where you can take your computer and you can go sit on your couch. You can go to a WeWork space. You can take it out to a park. There are so many ways to learn and to get involved. And I truly, truly invite you to step into your greatness. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, okay, Katerina, easier said than done. I look around and my life is not where I'd like it to be. Now, how many of you love your life? Okay, I love my life. I love my life. Put your hand up if you love your life. Yes. But I didn't always. Okay, how many of you are not really loving your life right now? How many of you know that there are other things that you're supposed to be doing, other versions of yourself that you're supposed to be being, and you may not know how to get there, okay? I have been where you are at. And what I'd like to remind everyone, especially after this 2 years of upheaval that we've been living in, is that collaboration, not competition, collaboration is how we are all going to elevate to the next level of what and who we need to be. So for me, I extend my hand backwards to help the person who may be a few steps behind on the ladder of success up. And I help them up that next step. While at the same time, and I'd like all of you to understand this, at the same time, I have my hand extended forward. and I am grasping on to the person who's a few steps ahead of me. And so it goes, and so it goes, and so it goes. And that's what it means to be part of the human experience. You know, so much of the world we're living in right now is digitized and automated and auto-corrected. And when we can just take a breath and remember that we're human and that the human experience goes up and down. And that if we, over time, can trend like a trend line up, spiral up instead of spiral down, we are going to be able to absolutely affect the world around us. And I'm not going to delve into a lot of quantum physics. That is for a totally different instructor to delve into, because it's not my areas of expertise. What I do know, however, is that with intention, with the power of the mind, with mind motion, we can absolutely affect the quantum field around us, and thus affect the reality that then gets reflected back to us. So for me, I had an experience when I was a little girl that shook me about 20 years later, and had me really realize that I was not where I wanted to be, okay? But at the time, after I made this realization, I was closing on the age of 40. I'm not going to tell you how old I am. Don't look too close to the wrinkles, okay? But forgetting that part. And I had a little voice of doubt in my head. I wanted to make a career change. I wanted to do something different. I wanted to step into the big leagues. And I have managed to work and operate internationally. I've had, from the time I made that commitment to myself, my life changed. And I was transported from small town girl in Calgary, Canada, who just didn't think she was ever going to go anywhere, to the global stage, having worked and presented out of cities including, and certainly not limited to, places like Monaco, London, Hong Kong, Athens, Miami, LA. I have interviewed stars on the red carpet and at the Academy Awards: Sting, Winona Ryder, Sharon Stone, stars that I used to sit and look at on my TV screen. I was now hobnobbing with. Why? Because I decided to step into who I truly knew I was going to become. But it wasn't easy, because I had this little voice in my head at 39 years old when I wanted to make a change, and I wanted to step into my dreams and my vision and my reality, and I realized I was playing a lesser game than I was intended to. How many of you might be playing a lesser game than you know you're intended to? And that's okay, you know, because life just goes, it goes. And if you're playing your best game and you're here with us, amazing. Please come share your news and share it with me afterwards. I'd love to hear your success stories. The little voice going back was saying to me, who are you to make this change now, Katerina? You're too old. It's too late. You should have done it 20 years ago. You should have. How many of you should all over yourselves, right? And I thankfully had the strength and a mentor who I had managed to find at the time, who said to me, Katerina, I have an exercise for you, and I'd like to share this exercise with you today. And the exercise goes like this. She said, I want you, when we're off this call, and it was a phone call at the time, when we're off this live stream with you later today, I'd like you to consider grabbing a pen and a pad of paper. And she said to me what I'm going to say to you next, which is, I would like you to project yourself to the age of 80, okay? So I was 39. She said, project yourself to the age of 80. And she said, now I want you to write a letter from your 80-year-old self to your 39-year-old self. What would you tell yourself? Now, myself at the age of 39 was telling myself, you're too old, it's too late, you should have had the experience, you're never going to make it, what are you thinking about imploding your life and your career that you have? There's no way it's going to happen. And yet when I picked up the pen and I looked back at my life from my 80-year-old self, I realized that what I wanted to say to my 39-year-old self was, hey girl, what in the world are you thinking? You are beautiful, you are expansive, you are talented, you are capable. Get out there right now and go back for the fences, because your dreams are simply a matter of your choice in having them land as a reality. I did the exercise. I wrote myself one heck of a damn good letter. I brought myself back into my body. I read it to my 39-year-old self. And I thought, you know what? The only person standing in my way is me. The only person putting limiting beliefs around myself is me. Everyone has a story. Everyone has a background. Everyone has a childhood. Everyone has an effect that they lean on that becomes an excuse as to why they're not where they want to be. What I'd invite you to look at is, do you want to be at the effect of something, or would you rather be the cause of something? You have, with this Mind Motion Academy platform, the opportunity to attach and attract the best trainings in the world and to catapult yourself. And I love that word, because we don't want to go slow. We want to, boom, springboard. We are living in a time where life is getting faster and faster. It is up to us to, boom, springboard. And that's just what I do. I catapult with people. And I like to catapult. And we get to a place where we become the cause, not the effect of our lives. Now, woo, put your hands up if you would like to cause your success, your happiness, your ideal life. Well, I'll tell you, it's a much better way of living than in the what ifs, right? What if I had done that? What if I had done this? We all have seen those memes, right? Where the person's, at their grave and they're thinking, I don't regret what I've done. I regret what I haven't done. And this is our opportunity to step into that world of no regrets. Mind Motion Academy is here, and we are here with all of our interesting, unique talents, strengths, career successes, professional accomplishments. If you want to build your credibility, boost your visibility, accelerate your authority, whether it's in business or just socially, you are at the right place, and we are so excited to be here. So again, without pushing it, just to share with who I am, if you're looking for media training, media expertise, any sort of PR, communication, strategic development, look no further. My team and I are here for you. And for anything else you're looking for in terms of personal and professional enhancement across any category, Mind Motion Academy is going to have somebody with a lot of passion and enthusiasm to help you along with your journey. So I want to thank you for taking the time to be here. I hope this was a small introduction to the enthusiasm we have here at Mind Motion Academy for helping each other be all that we can be. And please know that as somebody who is very tightly affiliated with everything about Mind Motion, and I love it so much, know that we are here for you. We are here to support. I am here to pop on and interact with you anytime. Please don't hesitate to hit me up. And for now, I wish you all the very best. I'm Katerina Cozias, and I look so forward to meeting you. Bye-bye.
Janine is an inner child specialist, an award-winning international best-selling author, skillful subconscious facilitator with a background in art, education, and psychology. She continuously embodies and demonstrates a simple truth, that anything is possible if you believe. Dr. Katie Nall, PhD, creates long-lasting change in the lives of the people in her audience. A sought-after speaker for colleges and universities, Dr. Nall works with individuals, teams, groups who are ready to improve communication skills and decrease work-related trauma.
Well, that concludes night one of the international launch of Mind Motion Academy. And what a night it was. So much information, so much talent, so much life-changing ideas and concepts and trainings. I want to thank sincerely all of the instructors for bringing their talents to all of you around the world. And on behalf of the team at Mind Motion Academy, the development team, the media team, the deployment team, the marketing team, a warm thank you to all of you as well for bringing this platform to the globe. So right now, what I'd like for you to do is go subscribe to Mind Motion Academy. And we will never raise that subscription cost for the life involvement of Mind Motion Academy. And what we want to do again for you is send you a $500 Mind Masterpiece program. And again, this is the same program used by elite entrepreneurs, elite athletes, celebrities, and more around the world. It's our gift to you for subscribing to the platform right now. And we will see you on night 2. We have an incredible lineup that's sure to excite, inform, and transform. We'll see you there.